now known as Moyoi in Transmara, Narok County, referred to as Gutura. And their presence predates that of the Syrian Maasai who arrived later in the 18th century. That the Kuria had lawfully paid 20,000 for 20,000 acres of land in the 1950s following colonial era agreements, and these facts were upheld through historical documents, community testimonials, and court-supervised settlements. That on 2nd February 1989, government security force looting and burning, destruction of homes, rape, looting and burning of property. That the National Land Commission, NLC, following extensive hearing, issued Gazette Notice number 1550 of 1st March 2019, awarding the 20,000 acres to the Kuria people and recommending restitution to the, and with integration of current occupants. That despite NLC's ruling, implementation has stalled, allegedly due to interference by corrupt individuals and uncooperative local administration. That ongoing land impasse continues to fuel tension and insecurity in the region, affecting intercommunal peace and stability along Transmara border. That that false narrative have been peddled suggesting that the Kuria people intend to alter county boundaries, a claim which we refuse. They refute and clarify that they only seek land restitution and not boundary alteration. That the displacement and denial of land rights violate key constitutional provisions. Land injustice redress, a mandate given by the Constitution to the NLC. That the Kuria people continue to suffer in informal dignity despite the government's obligation to protect their rights. And the judiciary, including Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, TJRC, all of which affirm the legitimacy of their land claim. However, all these efforts to address the matter has been futile, and lastly, that the matter in respect of which this petition is made is not pending before any court of law, engages the Ministry of Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development and other relevant authorities with a view of investigating into alleged irregular, illegal acquisition of lands by private developers and recommend for restitution of the 20,000 acres of land to the Kuria people in line with the ruling made by the National Land Commission 2019. 2, recommend for cancellation of irregular land titles and resurveying of the area to enable proper land adjudication and settlement of all rightful claimants. And 3, recommend that the affected Kuria families be verified, resettled and adequately compensated, and that resources be allocated to facilitate their dignified return. And make any other recommendation or action it deems fit in addressing the plight of the petitioners. Mr. Speaker, and your petitioners will forever pray. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Robert Mbui, you want to speak on this petition? Proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I stand to support this petition has been a real thorn in the flesh in this country. In fact, I'll say, Mr. Speaker, not only do we have the TJRC report he talked about, we've got so many, there was another one, I don't know, Dongo report. Mr. Speaker, we've had so many ways by which we've been trying to deal with the land issue, including even when we promulgated the new constitution, we came up with the National Land Commission. But Mr. Speaker, the problem still persists. I don't know whether this committee, while they investigate this, they can figure out how can we help the country so that the problem of issues of land can become a thing of the past. Because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue in this manner. Otherwise, I support the petition, and I want to ask that the committee now, because it is under new leadership and fresh blood is supposed to, a new broom sweeps better, we hope that they do this justice to this petition. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Adan Kenan.
Mr. Speaker, one of the reasons that led to the agitation of the promulgation of the current constitution was to address some of the historical injustices. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we must not be afraid to make certain critical decisions that will improve our image as a country, Mr. Speaker, that will also add value to our diversity, representing the many nation states that constitute this premier nation. Mr. Speaker, this petition being filed in the National Assembly attempts to address some of the issues some of the critical organizations have been either skirting or refusing to acknowledge. It is high time that the Land Commission, and Mr. Speaker, you remember, under Chapter 15 of the current Constitution, we have so many constitutional commissions. The reason why the framers of the current Constitution decided to give independence, institutional, constitutional, statutory, budgetary independence to this critical Constitution, Mr. Speaker, was to allow them a space within our governance platform to function independently without being hampered by the day-to-day decision makers. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to be off. The Land Commission and all other constitutional commissions to take their mandate seriously and give Kenyans value for their continued existence, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I support this within the context of dealing with some of the historical problems, Mr. Speaker, we have had. Mr. Speaker, in the region of Northern Kenya, you know that if there is one region that has really been abused through sessional paper number 10 of 1965 and through many other administrative, Mr. Speaker, platforms, is the region of Northern Kenya. Mr. Speaker, when I see other regions, people of other regions being stigmatized because of some historical decision, Mr. Speaker, I remember where we have come from. This is why today I empathize with these people and really urge the relevant committee to expedite the process. And, Mr. Speaker, this is my recommendation, so that we don't reduce this House to a talking shop.
You've made your point.
The committee must...
The Honorable Kasim Tandaza.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipatia hii fursa. Hili shamba la ardhi na wenyeji kunyanyaswa, sijui ni tulizungumzie ama tuimbe ama tulie ama tutambae ama tufanye nini ili wananchi waweze kupata haki yao. Sio watu wa Kuria peke yake, kila wakati tunalizungumzia hili swala, hasa kwa ule upande wa pwani, tukija Kwale, Matuga, watu wananyanyaswa kila uchao. Kuna sehemu ambazo watu wamejenga kama vile maeneo ya Darad kule Diani, ambapo watu wana vibali ambao wamepewa na serikali na bado wananyanyaswa na mabwenyenye. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama wenzangu walivyozungumza, nikiunga mswada hii hoja ambayo imeletwa na Mheshimiwa Amaro Kitiama kwa niaba ya watu wake wa Kuria, ni jambo ambalo itafika wakati labda tuwe na vikao maalum kama wabunge kuona ni vipi tunaweza kubadilisha sheria ile ambayo saa hizi ile tume ya mashamba National Land Commission wako nayo, ili kuwapa nguvu, na ni vipi tukali na kuwanyanyasa wananchi. Mheshimiwa Spika, na iunga mkono nikisisitiza kwamba wakati umefika bunge iweze kuchukua hatua thabiti za kulinda wananchi wake. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante sana. The Honorable Dado Dido Raso.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to support this petition by Honorable Kitayama. I think it's about the rights of minorities. In this country, the Bill of Rights is very clear. And we must thank the framers of our Constitution 2010 that rights which are delayed or justice delayed is justice denied. Kitayama is talking about issues of history, issues of discrimination, issues of him being a minority in a place where he has one or two constituencies that the Kuria can talk about, but there are other 6 constituencies within the same area where he may not get the governor position within that particular county. Unless we are going to address the rights of these minorities. I think minorities are going to be disadvantaged in this country. They will continue to lag behind. And that is why, once this petition comes to the floor of the House, it is important that it is observed with the best lenses so that their rights can be restored. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Finally on this, let's have the Honorable Wilberforce Owundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand in solidarity with my friend who sometimes always in this petition concerning the land issue in his constituency. Honorable Speaker, the issue of land conflicts has been clearly picked out in the Njonjo Commission report. It has been clearly picked out in the Dung report. It has clearly been picked out in the National Land Policy and subsequent legislations and policies. Honorable Speaker, the Constitution of Kenya envisaged two separate approaches to solving historical land injustice as well as land disputes. Honorable Speaker, when we created the National Land Commission, we believed and trusted they'll have the full constitutional mandate to resolve such issues. But over time, Honorable Speaker, their mandate or their roles has been emasculated through some intestine wars between the main ministry, the cabinet secretary, plus the National Land Commission because of stupid fights that do not need to. We just hope this petition, at its fullness, they will pick out the legal lacuna and make sure we return land dispute matters back to the National Land Commission and also have local traditional land dispute mechanism, Honorable Speaker. They are faster, they are more efficient, and they consider local issues that could easily be considered faster and expeditiously. I support, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. This petition is referred to the Public Petitions Committee. Is the chair in the House? Any member of the Public Petitions Committee in the House? Very well. After how long will you be having Very well. You are given a maximum of 90 days to bring that petition to the House. Thank you. Before we go to the next order, let me acknowledge and recognize in the public gallery Apostolic Carmel School of constituency Kapseret, Uasin Gishu. Please, members, make sure you applaud the students who are in the public galleries. I don't know if the member of parliament for that particular constituency in the House, just any other member of parliament from that particular county. Very well. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority.
Give me the bag. Yeah, thank you. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Thursday, April 24th, 2025. A, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement of commodities, fund, staff mortgage, and car loan scheme for the years ended 30th June 2020 and 2030, June 2023, and the certificates therein. B, reports of the Auditor General on hybrid generation of off-grid power system, credit number CKE 106601L for the year ended 30th June 2022, Kenya Power and Lightning Company KPLC. C, summary reports of the Auditor General on national government for the financial years 2023-2024. D, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the years ended 30th June 2023 and the certificates therein in respect of 1, Chamasiri Technical and Vocational College, 2, Chasangwe Technical and Vocational College, 3, Shuka Technical and Vocational College, 4, Dr. Daniel Wako Murende Technical and Vocational College, 5, Ebukanga Technical and Vocational College, 6, Friends College Kaimosi, 7, Kaiboi Technical Training Institute, 8 Karumo Technical Training Institute, 9 Kenya Seed Company Rwanda Limited, 10 Kibo Seed Company Limited, 11 Kiirua Technical Training Institute, 12 Kimasian Technical and Vocational College, 13 Kisiwa Technical Training Institute, 14 Lafe Technical and Vocational College, 15 Matili Technical Training Institute, 16 Matungu Technical Training Institute, 17 Mukiria Technical Training Institute, 18 Ramogi Institute of Advanced Technology, 19 Simlo Seeds Company Kenya Limited, and 20 Simlo Seed Company U Limited. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I lay.
Very well. What's your point of order?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Next to me, I found myself sitting in the leadership row, but it's appalling to notice that the table for the minority whip doesn't hold. It's falling apart. What's going on, Mr. Speaker? We want urgent action to be taken so that our table is restored.
Honourable member, come up clearly. What are you speaking about? What's your point of order? Very well. Before we go to the ordinary statements by members, next order. We shall call you.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Very well. Before we go to the statements by the members, let me bring the leader to give his Thursday House business statement. Proceed, leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I pass on to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2a. I rise to give the following statement on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met on Tuesday, 22nd April 2025, to prioritize business for consideration during the week. Honorable Speaker, with regard to business scheduled for Tuesday next week, the House is expected to consider the following bills at various stages, some of which are listed in today's order paper. Honorable Speaker, we will have a look at the Committee of the Whole House on the 2 bills that we have passed our second reading today, that is the Social Protection Bill 2025 and the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill 2025, Honorable Speaker. Then, Honorable Speaker, we will move to second reading of the following bills. 1, the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2023, a very important bill, Honorable Speaker. Then we'll do the National Cohesion and Integration Bill 2023 and the Political Parties Amendment number 2 bill, a Senate bill. That's a Senate bill, Honorable Speaker. In addition, Honorable Speaker and members, the House will also consider the following motions. Ratification of agreements on fisheries subsidies. This is a very important bill. Those people with those members coming from fish growing areas, and the chairman here, we will look at the ratification of agreements on fisheries so that we can, the bill is coming. The ratification of the agreement on fisheries subsidies is coming on next week, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Millie, make sure you are there. The third report of the Public Investment Committee on Social Services, Administration and Agriculture on the consideration of the audited accounts of specified state corporation. Third, reports of the Public Investment Committee on Governance and Education on consideration of the audited accounts of state corporation for Central Region. 4, consideration of comprehensive economic partnership agreements between the Republic of Kenya and the United Arab Emirates. And 4, consideration of nominees for appointment as members of the Board of Central Bank. Honorable Speaker, it's important to note that the Central Bank is going to have a new board, and we have the privilege as a House, the 13th Parliament, Honorable Speaker, to preside over the, the consideration of the nominees for that appointment, Honorable Speaker. Further, Honorable Speaker, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 42A, 5 and 6, I wish to convey that the Prime Cabinet Secretary the Honorable Musalia Davadi, who is also the Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, is scheduled to appear before the House on the afternoon of Wednesday, 30th April 2025, to respond to concerns on the criteria used by the government to classify hardship areas and payment of hardship allowance to teachers and other civil servants in the country. Honorable Speaker, you know that this was something that we've been pushing for the last 1 month, and the Honorable Jared Okello has been at the forefront on this. So, Honorable Speaker, we need to be here so that we can actually listen to the Cabinet Secretary on the issue of hardship allowances, payment of hardship allowances to teachers and other civil servants. That is on Wednesday, 30th of April, Honorable Speaker. In addition, the Prime Cabinet Secretary is also scheduled to respond to the following questions. One, question number 034 of 2025 by the member for West Mugirango, the Honorable Stephen Mogaka MP, regarding measures taken by the government to assist Mr. Chris Ayuga Barake of passport number B203878, who was arrested and detained in India on allegations of online fraud on 6th October 2023. The second question is a question number 035 of 2025 by the member for Nandi County, the Honorable Cynthia Muge, who is not in here, regarding details of all children born to Kenyan mothers in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and steps being taken to process their returns to Kenya. And question number 046 of 2025 by the member for Game, the Honorable Elisha Odhiambo. I cannot see Elisha here, but his question will be responded regarding strategies and measures for streamlining the process of integration of Kenyans born abroad and their recognition as Kenyan citizens. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the House Business Committee will convene on Tuesday, 29th April 2025 to schedule business for the rest of that week. Now I wish to lay this statement on the table of the House, and I wish to all members a beautiful weekend, happy weekend, as they go to their constituencies to engage with their constituents on matters development. I wish you a beautiful. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay.
Yes, Honorable Martha Wangari.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for indulging me. I was looking at the order paper. On Tuesday, I requested a statement on gambling, specifically the Aviator game of chance, and the Speaker ruled that it should be brought to the floor of the House today. It is not listed in the order paper, Mr. Speaker. Maybe you can give us some guidance from the committee, because we are headed to go for recess next week, and it is very urgent that we discuss that matter, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, Honorable Martha. I vividly remember you asking for that particular statement. Who is the committee chair? Is in the House? Finance Committee chair. I cannot see the chair in his usual place. Any member of the Finance Committee? Leader? You need to undertake that you remind the chair, Committee Finance, to actually bring an answer to the statement that was asked by Honorable Martha.
On Tuesday. Much obliged.
Yes, what's your point of order, Honorable Member?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm just referring to the statement that has just been read by the Majority Leader, the Deputy Majority Leader, sorry. Honorable Speaker, 2 weeks ago, we raised some fundamental issues here that needed to be responded to by the Cabinet Secretary for Roads and Transport. We expected to have him yesterday. He wasn't here, and we were explained to that he's in China. And next week being the last week before we proceed for recess, I would have hoped that House Business would have scheduled the CS for Roads to appear to respond to some very pertinent issues that were required to be discussed, because quite a number of these issues, Honorable Speaker, were raised before the committee and were to be responded by the Committee of Transport, but were subsequently dropped so that the Cabinet Secretary himself would respond to them. In the absence of the Cabinet Secretary, it means these statements and questions that were raised to the Department of Transport over 2 months ago will not be responded to as we go into recess. So I'd like your indulgence, Honorable Speaker, for the Majority Leader to just explain to us and perhaps give us an undertaking when we expect the Cabinet Secretary for Roads to address some very pertinent issues, especially before we start the
You've made your point and quite
process. Thank you.
Clear, very, very, very well put. Leader, remember the Speaker while sitting, substantive speaker, while sitting in his place, did indicate that the CS was out and possibly would be appearing before the House next week. Could you make a comment on that?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I've had the Honorable Mwenje on this matter, and I think this is the second time he's raised the issue. But just like you said, the substantive speaker gave reasons why he could not appear last Wednesday. But I also want to undertake that we will get communication from his house, from his office, so that Wednesday, by Tuesday, we'll inform you if he will appear on Wednesday. But I would like also him to appear on Wednesday alongside the Cabinet Secretary, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, because the issues of the Prime Cabinet Secretary are not long. They're just a few items, and it is possible to have the two Cabinet Secretaries appearing on Wednesday. So I want to undertake that we'll make arrangement to have the Cabinet Secretary for Transport be in the House on that day. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
And I would further add that in the interest of all the members, because matters concerning roads concern really the members greatly, make an undertaking, as you have really indicated, that he appears alongside the PCS. Thank you. Now, let's go to the next statement by the Honorable Joseph Gitari, MP Kirinyaga Central.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to request for a statement regarding operation of Inoi Division in Kirinyaga County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to provision of Standing Order 42C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding operationalization of Inoi Division in Kirinyaga County. Honorable Speaker, Inoi was gazetted as a division by the Gazette Notice, volume CX1X, on 21st June 2017. However, the government has not yet operationalized the administration unit. The ordinate delay has denied the residents of Kirinyaga County access to essential government services that would have been offered by the divisional offices. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. One, the reason for the inordinate delay of Inoi Division as gazetted by Gazette Notice, volume CX1X on 21st June 2017. And two, Mr. Speaker, report on the measures that the government is taking to make sure that Inoi is operational as a division, including the timelines. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Chair, the Chair, Committee on Administration and Internal Security. Yes.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I have heard what Honorable Gitari is seeking. Last week, when the Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior, appeared before the House, I think he really addressed himself to that issue. But also on Tuesday, he appeared before the committee, and also he has given us an undertaking that he will provide a comprehensive list of all pending cases of sub-counties, divisions, and locations that have not been operationalized. So for that reason, we will undertake to provide response to the House immediately we come from the recess. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. Yes.
Chair, Honorable Speaker, I would wish to thank Honorable Gitari for raising that very substantive issue. Honorable Speaker, the issue of operationalization of administrative units in this country is an issue that the Ministry of Interior should take up seriously. Honorable Speaker, it is not only in Nyandarua, that issue has come up. It is all over the country. So, Honorable Speaker, I call upon the CS for Interior and the entire Committee for Interior to take up that matter to ensure that, one, apart from operationalization, what is the legal framework guiding the issue of setting up new administrative units in this country? Because, Honorable Speaker, there is no clear framework. It is only given as a token, or it is only given when you request. So, Honorable Speaker, I second that statement.
Order. There's no need of seconding statements. And I've been a religious follower of this matter. When the minister was here, as Raso has explained, there's an undertaking now that is in progress. And indeed, the sentiments you are actually putting across were put the same day. But we thank you for them. Indeed, Hon Raso, take those statements in mind, and that's, I think, what we told the minister to undertake and bring a list. Yes, Honorable Raso.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for indulging me. I think what the MP for Marakwet, he was in the House on that day. What the minister said, he needed 2.5 billion to operationalize everything that has been gazetted. So the onus is on us. If we are ready to give him the money, then whatever has been gazetted will be operationalized. So for that reason, Honorable Gitari's statement will be responded to, but I think we cannot play the ball outside this house. This is a budget-making house, and we must look for the money. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. The Honorable Farah Yakum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the status of security measures in the Fafi constituency, Garissa County, following a recent attack by suspected Al-Shabaab militants. Honorable Speaker, it is with profound concern that I report the tragic loss of 6 police reservists and the injury of 4 other officers in a heinous attack that occurred on 23rd March 2025 in Biamodu Fafi constituency. The assailants, believed to be members of the Al-Shabaab terror group, staged a coordinated assault on a police reservist camp at dawn, deploying firearms and explosives to overwhelm the facility. Shockingly, there has been no official statement or communication from the relevant government authorities on this matter. This attack is the latest in a series of security breaches attributed to Al-Shabaab, a group officially designated as a terrorist organization by the government of Kenya and the international community, often targeting military personnel, security installations, and civilians alike, primarily in frontier counties such as Garissa, Wajir, and Mandera. Honorable Speaker, the National Police Reservists have played a critical role in supplementing formal security operations, particularly in remote and underserved areas. It is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. 1, provide information on the government's mechanism for compensating the families of 6 NPR officers who tragically lost their lives during the attack in Fafi constituency. State measures the government has taken to cover the medical expense of the 4 officers who sustained injuries during the attack. Provide details on any ongoing or planned support programs, financial, psychological, or otherwise, for the affected officers and their families. State the immediate security interventions with long-term strategies the government is implementing to safeguard the residents of Fafi constituency and prevent further attacks by Al-Shabaab or other militant groups. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Chairperson, Administration and Internal Security, Dido Raso.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I believe the Honorable members made something that is very substantive. His constituency that borders a neighboring country actually is under serious threat security-wise. And I think more than that statement, although we will share the statement with the ministry, I would ask him to engage also the committee so that the committee makes an effort of even visiting the region so that we are able to help out and brief the House accordingly.
So how long?
Immediately after the recess, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. The next statement was to be by the Honorable Dagala, but the Honorable Dagala did write to the Speaker, and therefore that one is held in abeyance, and therefore let's move to Honorable Mayaka. Order, Honorable Mayaka. I'm told that the Honorable Dagala did instruct that the Honorable Bato will present that statement on her behalf. So before we get to you, Honorable Mayaka, let's get Honorable Bato on behalf of Honorable Dagala.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to welcome as well the students from Kapseret constituency, which is in Uasin Gishu, on behalf of the Member of Parliament, Oscar Sudi, who is away on official duty. Mr. Speaker, Kapseret constituency is in Uasin Gishu. I'm a member of Uasin Gishu County. I want to welcome the students and to tell them to feel at home. This is Parliament. This is where the laws of the land are made. I hope by the time you leave this house, you will have learned something which is going to shape your lives in future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now I go to the statement from Honorable Beatrice Adagala. Request for a statement regarding continued power outages across the country. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44, subsection 2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Energy regarding continued and increasingly frequent power outages being experienced across the country. Honorable Speaker, in the recent past, the country has experienced persistent and widespread power outages, some lasting several hours, and in certain areas occurring daily. These blackouts have affected households, disrupted businesses, endangered patients in health facilities, and raised serious concerns over the stability and reliability of the national power grid. Despite previous assurances from Kenya Power and Lighting Company and other energy sector stakeholders, the problem continues to persist, causing significant economic losses and eroding public confidence in our national power infrastructure. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee of Energy on the following. 1. Report on causes of the frequent and prolonged power outages being experienced across the country. 2. Steps being taken by the Ministry of Energy and KPLC to stabilize power supply and prevent constant and repeated outages. 3. The immediate mitigation measures being implemented to protect essential service providers such as hospitals, learning institutions, and security installations from these outages. 4. The progress made in upgrading and maintaining the national power infrastructure, including timelines for resolving persistent faults and ensuring reliability of the national grid. And 5, plans to diversify the country's energy mix to reduce overdependence on certain power sources and enhance resilience in the face of climate, technical, or economic shock. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for Honorable Beatrice Adagala, MP.
Chair Energy.
Honorable Speaker, we request once we resume because we'll be looking at it, and once we resume after recess, we'll be able to give a response. Thank you.
Very well. What is it, Honourable Member?
Mr. Speaker, I want to kindly request you, because I tried to come up with the same question and I was told it will be on the floor today. The Honorable Gikaria must get serious on replies to this House.
Honourable Member, this is a statement, not a question.
Yeah, but on replying, that's what I'm saying, because he's saying after we come from recess.
Yes.
For instance, where I come from, Ngong, Rongai, and Kisera. Mr. Speaker, a lot of people depend on power to do their barbershop, their salon. Businesses are falling down because of continuous maintenance every week, every day. 3 days in a week. When Gikaria says he'll reply after recess, Chairman, it can't be that way, because we need an answer immediately, next week before we go on recess. 3 weeks is too long for small business people within where we live. Some of our houses, even members of parliament. And the Honorable Gikaria, you are the chair for Energy Committee. You must provide answers to this House.
Order,
why are you
Honourable
saying
Member.
that after recess? After recess, how?
Order, Honourable Member. It's only proper that we give the chairman ample time to prepare, and I therefore instruct the Honourable Gikaria. Order. Take your seat. I gave you a chance to speak, so you can now not maneuver me around. Yes, order. We really need to give the committee time. But before Gikaria speaks on this, I can see the Honourable Member is also very enraged. What is it? No, we have given to Jalango.
Jalango. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Precisely.
This is not the first time matters electricity and blackouts are being mentioned in this House. We've brought statements, we've asked questions, and it's always give us a week, give us a month, give us 3 weeks. They sit every single Thursday and every single Tuesday, for the same questions. Honorable Gikaria, you are the chairperson, Energy Committee. I came here and asked for questions about Silanga, where we had issues. Now, the transformers that are even being brought on the ground cannot even sustain the community. And when we even talk about sometimes about last mile connections, there are people who've not even seen that last mile, or we don't even know how far the mile is.
Very well,
you understand?
Delamo.
So Gikaria must give us, Honorable Gikaria must give us answers today. Please, Mr. Speaker, tell him to stand. He has these answers, because he's been talking about these same questions.
You've made your point. You made your point. Yes, what's your point of order, Honorable Millie?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members are asking very substantive issues that have to do with the transformers. And we have since learned recently that some of the transformers that were purchased are defective. So I know that they are being, something is being done. But something as basic as a tree falling and power going out from yesterday morning. And I call up to date, no power. Is that Kenya powerlessness or Kenya Power? Can they change their names officially? Kenya powerlessness and I don't know what. It's a joke. I mean, if there is a disconnection, Kenya powerlessness and disconnection and the darkness.
Very well.
Mr. Speaker, if there was one agency that was known for efficiency, it was Kenya Power. The one that used to give us nightmares was water. Are you competing with water to being ineffective, or are you trying to sabotage Honorable Wandai because he's an expert? Please reconnect. Basic, let us not even be talking about issues like transformers. This is just a tree that has fallen, surely. You are joking.
Very well. I think members have serious concern, and the concerns are many. And therefore, no, just take your place. Therefore, there was another statement by Honorable Lesuda concerning power. So let's hear Honorable Lesuda on the same. Possibly to cover some of the members' interests, and then I can make a ruling. Proceed, Honorable Lesuda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And just listening to my colleagues, I wish the bills used to delay as well, and I wish the electricity bills were also cheaper.
Go directly to your statement.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I wish to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Energy regarding the persistent power outage in Samburu West constituency, including Maralal Town. Honorable Speaker, for the past several months, Samburu West constituency, particularly Maralal Town, has been experiencing repeated blackouts without any prior notice, explanation, or projected timelines for restoration. These power interruptions have not only caused immense inconvenience to residents, but have led to substantial financial losses for local businesses, many of which rely entirely on electricity to power their operations. This situation is particularly unacceptable in light of the already difficult economic environment and in a region that continues to grapple with the effects of historical marginalization, despite the promises of equal opportunity under the devolved system of governance. Honorable Speaker, the continued power outages, coupled with the lack of communication from Kenya Power and Lighting Company, KPLC, constitute a clear violation of the legal obligations set forth in the Energy Act 2019, Cap 225. Further, under the Consumer Protection Act 2012, consumers have a right to fair service delivery and are entitled to seek compensation where economic losses arise from negligence or disruption utility services. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Energy on the following. 1, the immediate underlying cause or causes of the persistent power outages currently being experienced in Maralal Town and other parts of Samburu West constituency. Secondly, reasons for lack of formal communication or advanced notification to residents and businesses of interruption of power supply as required by law under the Energy Act and KPLC's service charter. Thirdly, measures that the ministry has put in place to urgently resolve these outages and ensure consistent and reliable power supply to Samburu West constituency moving forward. Fourthly, any alternatives or strategic partnerships being explored by the ministry to provide Maralal and the entire Samburu West constituency with supplementary or backup power sources to mitigate the effects of power outages in future. And lastly, plans, if any, by the ministry to compensate affected residents and businesses for the losses occasioned by perennial power outages. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Gikaria, and speak generally about the interests that your committee is already raising in the House.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As much as I agree with the concerns of the members regarding the power outages in the country, I totally agree, Honorable Speaker. In fact, this morning I signed a letter to go and also visit Roysambu and Ruaraka, where there are so many transformers which are lying, for us to understand what is the problem. Is it the transformers? And secondly, Honorable Speaker, during the rainy season, and I want honorable members to understand, during the rainy seasons, the trees falling, and remember there was a time Kenya Power brought down so many trees, and it was brought in the social media that we are planting and they are cutting trees. The tree falling on lines contribute almost 80% of the power outages. Yes. So we will be able to address that.
So when are you bringing the statement, the replies to the statements?
Tuesday is a very short period, Honorable Speaker. To be honest, if we are given after the recess, we will be able to bring the responses to this.
Honorable Gikaria and honorable members, I want you to indulge with Gikaria. Remember, Gikaria is a new chair of that particular committee. I'm also affected, just like you are affected. And therefore, Honorable Gikaria, immediately after recess, you bring those replies plus all others that the members of parliament may speak to you about as you see the interests. Number two, I think the leadership, we have to organize leadership in the House, organize immediately we leave recess to bring the energy CS that will really mitigate the many issues that members of parliament have on the energy sector. Thank you. Honorable Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to request for a statement regarding the transfer of funds collected through the Electronic Travel Authorization ETA system to foreign banks. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning regarding the transfer of funds collected through the Electronic Travel Authorization, otherwise known as ETA system, to foreign banks. Honorable Speaker, the Electronic Travel Authorization ETA system was implemented with effect from the 1st of January 2024, in line with the Presidential Directive on a visa-free regime in Kenya. Under the regime, all visitors, including infants and children intending to travel to the Republic of Kenya, except for citizens of East African Community, are required to have an approved ETA before the start of their journeys. The Cabinet approved introduction of the Treasury Single Account TSA, a unified structure of the government bank accounts for consolidation of government cash resources into a single account or a set of linked accounts domiciled at the Central Bank of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, there have been allegations that billions of shillings collected through the ETA system were deposited in private foreign banks' accounts in Switzerland. On the 14th of April 2025, the government spokesperson confirmed that a Swiss company which was involved in the early rollout of the ETA system received the funds. This arrangement contravenes Article 2061 of the Constitution, which establishes the consolidated fund where all monies raised or received by the national government must be paid, unless excluded by an act of parliament or lawfully retained by a state organ to cover its expenses. In addition, Section 28, 1 and 6 of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 412A, mandates that only the National Treasury can authorize the opening of bank accounts for national and county government entities, and it must maintain complete and current records of all such accounts. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on the following. Number one, the circumstances that led to the funds collected through the Electronic Travel Authorization ETA system to be deposited in foreign bank accounts instead of the Treasury Single Account TSA through the e-citizen system. Number two, a report on the particulars of the foreign bank accounts holding fees collected under the ETA platform, and if there were any relevant approvals by the National Treasury authorizing the opening and maintenance of the same. Number three, the quantum of funds held in these banks, the corresponding periods the funds have been held, and settlement dates since the inception of the implementation of this ETA system. And finally, number five, the details of the settlement framework entered into by the government and the foreign Swiss company for funds collected through the ETA system. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair, Finance and National Planning. Leadership. You will undertake? Yes.
Yes, Chair. Yes, Honorable Speaker.
So please undertake that the replies to that particular statement come immediately after recess.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and we'll do that.
Next, the Honorable Joshua.
Thank you, Honorable
Kandiye.
Speaker. Pursuant to provisions of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Tourism and Wildlife regarding rampant cases of snake bites in Baringo County. Honorable Speaker, Baringo County harbors around 38 out of 171 snake bites species found in Kenya, and 5 of these snakes are highly poisonous, namely black mamba, red spitting cobra, brown spitting cobra, papa adder, pumslang. Alarmingly, the region has been recording has been recorded as having one of the highest incidents of snake bites cases in the country. For instance, the District Health Information System reported that from January 2022 to July 2022, there were 254 cases documented. More recently, on July 3rd, 2024, the late Mr. Amos Chepuret Kimeres, who was in good health and going on with his daily activities at home, was fatally bitten by poisonous snakes. Despite being immediately rushed to the Cabernet Referral Hospital, he unfortunately succumbed to the poisonous snake while undergoing treatment. Honorable Speaker, subsequently the family sought compensation from the Kenya Wildlife Services, but were doing it on the basis that the Kenya Wildlife Conservation and Management Act of Cap 376 was amended in 2019 to exclude compensation for snake bites incidents resulting to injury or death. In 2021, the Cabinet Secretary for Tourism and Wildlife assured the public that the ministry was working towards reinstating compensation for victims of snake bites. However, this commitment remains unfulfilled to date. The lack of redress is also particularly concerning in Baringo County, where frequent and fatal snake bites continue to devastate families, often stripping households of their primary earners. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Tourism and Wildlife on the following. The steps taken by the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife to reinstate compensation for victims of snake bites, particularly in Baringo, on other regions where such cases are rampant. 2, the measures put in place or are being considered to provide interim relief to the affected families who suffer the loss of their loved one due to snake bites, such as the family of Mr. Amos Chepuret Kimeres, who succumbed to a snake bite. And 3, a report on the number of snake bite incidents leading to fatalities or severe injuries that have been recorded in Baringo County from 2024 to date, and the interventions made in each case. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well. The Chair, before the Chair, Tourism and Wildlife, let me listen to a point of order from the Deputy Speaker.
It's a point of information, and I think maybe the other members can help us. I would have assumed keeping data on various illnesses and injuries and so on falls under health, which is devolved. So usually the CEC at the health at the county should be able to say what are the prevalent attacks that exist in the county. That is where the point of contact should be.
Very well. The Chair, Tourism and Wildlife, is in the House. Vice Chair, a member of that committee. Yes. You can undertake on behalf of your committee. Proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of the committee, I believe we can execute the matter during the recess and hopefully be able to bring the reply once we come back from the recess, given the time that is available between now and the time that we are going on the recess. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
You can or you will?
We will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's now more proper. The next statement, the Honorable Amos Mwago.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2c, I wish to request for a statement from the Chairperson of the Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding collapsed bridges in Ngara and Lanimai wards within Starehe constituency. Honorable Speaker, Section 10.2 of the Kenya Roads Act, Cap 408, provides that the Kenya Urban Roads Authority, KURA, is responsible for the management, development, rehabilitation, and maintenance of urban roads. which includes any bridges on these roads. In recent months, heavy rainfall has led to severe flooding in Starehe constituency, which resulted in the collapse of 2 bridges in Ngara and in Lanimae wards. These bridges serve as a transportation link. Their destruction has paralyzed movement within the constituency. Unfortunately, this has adversely affected school-going children who now struggle to access their school, undermining their constitutional right to education, as well as disrupt the economic activities of the constituency. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on the following. 1. Report on the status of rehabilitation of the collapsed bridges in Ngara and Lanimae wards in Starehe constituency, including timelines for their reconstruction. And 2, the immediate measures the ministry is implementing to provide temporary crossing solutions for the residents. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair, Transport and Infrastructure Committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We will avail a response in the next 3 weeks.
Do you say 3 weeks?
No, 2 weeks after recess.
Very well. Honorable Mwago.
Honorable Speaker, I would like to urge the chairman for transport to try and fast track the immediate solutions, because currently we are experiencing heavy rainfall in Starehe constituency, and the movement is inhibited by the lack of these bridges. If you seek for a solution, a temporary solution to help people cross the bridges as of now, I think it would be appropriate. But 2 weeks is far too long a time after the recess, which is actually 3 weeks.
Very well, Honorable Mwago, you are quite objective, and therefore I think the chair bring the statement immediately after recess, given that school children are affected. The next statement, request of statement, is by Honorable Amina. The Honorable Amina Muyanzi.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. I stand to request for a statement regarding aircraft safety at Malindi International Airport. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2c, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding aircraft safety at the Malindi International Airport. Honorable Speaker, on the 10th January 2025, an aircraft registration number 5YCDC operated by the Kenya Aeronautical College was involved in a tragic crash 2 kilometers from Malindi Airport, resulting in the loss of 3 lives, injuries to 3 others, and extensive damage to the aircraft. Barely 2 months later, on the 8th March 2025, a Cessna 152 aircraft, registration number 5YBYQ, owned by the Kenya School of Flying, was also involved in a tragic accident, resulting in the loss of the life of a student pilot. Following these incidents, aircraft accident investigators from the Ministry of Roads and Transport and the Kenyan Civil Aviation Authority visited the crash sites and retrieved the engines of both aircrafts for further examination. Reports on the preliminary findings regarding the aircraft accidents were released. However, to date, no official conclusive reports have been released to the public or to the affected institutions regarding the probable cause or contributing factors and safety recommendation for accident prevention to ensure aircraft safety. These incidents raise concern about the state of aircraft safety at Malindi International Airport and the need for additional safety protocols to prevent such occurrences in future. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on the following. 1, the current status of investigation in the 2 aircraft accidents involving aircrafts operating from Malindi International Airport. 2, an official report on the findings regarding the probable cause
of the accident and the safety recommendations by the Ministry of Roads and Transport and KCAA. 3, the expected timeline for conclusion and publication of the results of the investigation to the public and affected institutions. 4, measures being implemented by the Ministry of Roads and Transport to improve air safety for aircraft used in training at Malindi International Airport and in airports nationwide. And lastly, plans by the government to compensate the families of the victims, including specific timelines for compensation. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairman, Transport, Infrastructure.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. 2 weeks after recess.
Again,
Yes.
2 weeks
After, yes.
You have enough time, so bring it just immediately after recess.
Correct.
Let committees work.
No problem.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Next request of statements by the Honorable Joseph. Is that Joseph or Joseph? Proceed.
Joseph.
Or Joseph.
Yes. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to request for a statement on the upgrading of Eldoret, Kapsabet, Chavakali Road, C39. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure regarding upgrading of the Eldoret, Kapsabet, Chavakali Road, C39. Honorable Speaker, the Eldoret, Kapsabet, Chavakali Road, C39, is an important transport route facilitating regional connectivity by linking Uasin Gishu, Nandi, Vihiga counties, and further linking to Kakamega, Bungoma, Kisumu, and Siaya counties. Notably, the road boosts agriculture and trade by connecting markets in Eldoret City, Mosoriot, Chepterit, Kapsabet, Chepsonoi, Cheptulu, Mudete, Javakali, and Shamakoko, while also providing access to Chebut and Mudete, tea factories and transportation of perishable farm produce like tea, leaves, cereals, fruits, milk, and vegetables to markets. It is also the link road to Eldoret International Airport and key health facilities like Moi Teaching and Referral Hospitals, Kapsabet County Referral Hospital, Jumuia Hospital, Kaimosi, and Sabatia Eye Hospital. Honorable Speaker, despite the crucial significance of the Eldoret Kapsabet Chavakali Road, it has never been expanded to meet the increasing traffic demand since it was tarmacked many years ago. Along it, and convergence of traffic from other regions. Consequently, it faces significant congestion due to expansion of Eldoret City, the towns located along it, and convergence of traffic from other regions. Notably, traffic from South Rift, Nyanza, Kisii, Western Kenya converges on this road via major roads such as Chemelil, Nandi Hills, Namgoi, Kisumu, Javakali, Kapsabet, and Kakamega, Chavakali, Kapsabet, straining the already heavily trafficked and narrow road. This has negatively impacted socio-economic activities in the region by raising transport costs, delaying emergency response, and hindering investors in public transport due to high wear and tear costs. Further, its deplorable state has caused fatal accidents, such as the tragic accidents at Chemarmar in June 2023 and at Mutwot on 10th January 2025, which claimed 4 lives and left others critically injured. Honorable Speaker, it is against this backdrop that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Transport and Infrastructure on the following. Number 1, a report on the maintenance record of Eldoret Kapsabet Chavakali Road C39 since 2013, including the details of the contractors, total expenditure incurred on maintenance, the scope of work done in each maintenance cycle, and inspection reports. Number 2, the short-term and long-term strategies for improving and expanding the Kapsabet Chavakali Road, including fully overhauling and recarpeting the surface instead of the current periodic patchwork maintenance so as to get value for public funds invested in the repairs. And finally, plans by the Kenya National Highways Authority, KENA, to dual the Kapsabet Eldoret section of the road and construct proper road shoulders so as to ease flow of traffic on this critical road. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Joses Lelmengit of Mgwen. Chair Transport. And remember, this is a road that serves me, and I'm affected seriously by what Honorable Joses is speaking about. Proceed, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, we will respond after recess.
It's okay, and this one we can even give you 2 weeks after recess, because we want a comprehensive answer on that particular one.
Correct.
Thank you.
2 weeks.
And please, Honorable Joses, just accept 2 weeks after recess, so that the answer is comprehensive. Because it's a road that has really disturbed the communication between Eldoret, Kapsabet, and Vihiga. And I think even the honorable member for Aldai is also an interested party. Thank you. Let's move to response to statements. And the first one, we begin with a response by the Chair of Administration and Internal Security on a statement asked by Honorable Kakai Bissau, who is in the House, MP Kimilili.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The statement sought by Honorable Kakai Bissau was responded to by the Minister on Tuesday. And also the statement by Honorable Hussein Barre of Tarbaju are also responded to. And I believe they were responded to very effectively, and the honorable colleagues were satisfied about that. But I have 2 other statements which were not responded to. One by Honorable Amina Dika, the member for Tana River, and the second one by the honorable member for Nyeri, Honorable Rab Mukami. Maybe if the 2 members are in the House, I could respond to those 2, Honorable Speaker.
The Honorable Kakai Bissau, is that the correct position?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Yes, indeed, we met the CS, Internal Security, including the PS. They addressed the question, but what I would like to insist at this point, and what is very clear, as per my statement request, the frequent updating of the affected family needs to be adhered to. It needs to be done frequently, because as it is, even as of today, the affected family, the Bukhala family that lost their daughter, are not getting frequent updates. But the CS agreed that this will be done frequently. And at the same time also, there is the person of interest, Mr. Orwa, who went missing, and the CS has assured me and the family that they will continue pursuing this person until he's brought to book. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Very well. The Honorable Raso, you may proceed to give the replies on the statement sought by the Honorable Amina Dika.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Member of Parliament for Tana River, Honorable Amina Dika, requested a statement on the disappearance of Abdullahi Ahmed Mohamed.
Is the Honorable Amina Dika?
Yes, she is in the House.
Well. Proceed.
As requested for a statement on disappearance of Abdullahi Ahmed Mohamed, ID number 42848612, a resident of Ngumu Village, Tana River County. The honorable member sought steps taken to address the disappearance of Mr. Abdullahi, status of investigation on the disappearance of Mr. Abdullahi. I wish to respond as follows. Steps taken to address the disappearance of Mr. Abdullahi Ahmed Mohamed of ID number 42848612. Honorable Speaker, on 5th of October 2024, Mr. Ibrahim Ahmed reported the disappearance of his cousin, Mr. Abdullahi Ahmed Mohamed, at Garsen Police Station, Void OB number 16 March 2024. He reported that he had earlier been abducted and dropped off at a petrol station within Garsen Shopping Center by abductors who were armed and traveling in a black Toyota Hilux double cabin bearing registration number KCU 576U. He further alleged that the same individuals followed and subsequently abducted his cousin, Mr. Abdullahi Ahmed Mohamed, a 73-year-old male. Honorable Speaker, an inquiry into the matter was immediately opened under inquiry file number 2/2024 and a statement recorded from relevant witnesses. The victim's mobile phone number was traced and found to have been switched off within Garsen town on the same day. The matter also was reported and the data shared with the National Transport and Safety Authority, requesting ownership details of the suspected vehicle to aid in the investigation. However, the NTSA has yet to furnish the details to the police. Status of investigation of the disappearance. The matter is currently before the court with a habeas corpus petition number E0052025 was issued by the Malindi High Court. The investigating officer has filed a replying affidavit in response to the petition. Subsequently, the duplicate inquiry file has been forwarded to the office of the DPP, and as of now, the file has not been returned to the police for action. The case is pending before the court. Mr. Speaker, I beg to respond.
The Honorable Amina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I feel the response from the minister or the ministry is not satisfactory. And I also feel there is no seriousness because Mr. Abdullahi disappeared 6 months ago, that is October of 2024. What really surprised me is that getting registration or getting the ownership of the car cannot take 6 months. So, Honorable Raso, I would also want to know when you expect to get the details of the registration from the NTSA, because 6 months is just too much. I also would like to know when is the file from the DPP expected to be back? Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Raso.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we have mulled over this issue of registration. And it happens people can operate with fake number plates or number plates individuals are going to fabricate on their own. That could be the difficulty with NTSA, but we also will not stop at that. We will demand for answers to what NTSA is doing and why the delay. The second part, which Honorable Member is seeking, I believe the DPP cannot be rushed or they cannot work under the direction of the Ministry of Interior. But we will indulge the ministry to be able to use their good offices so that the DPP can understand this matter. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Very well, but you know, these matters don't come here in vain. And therefore, maybe you should take a further undertaking on when you will actually bring that extra report to Honorable Amina on that progress, please.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I believe we are well guided on this. As also members, we don't take it for granted that honorable colleagues will ask questions and the responses are frivolous. I think we will go the full mile to establish what are the issues that are missing. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. You may proceed to also bring the replies to the statement sought by Honorable Rahab, MP Nyeri County.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the member for Nyeri County, Honorable Rahab Mukami, has requested for a statement regarding the recent murder of a patient in Kenyatta National Hospital. The honorable member particularly sought to be informed on the status of investigation into the death of Gilbert Kinyua Muthoni, actions being taken to ensure the perpetrator of the crime is arrested and prosecuted, measures being put in place to intensify security of health facilities in the country. Honorable Speaker, Gilbert Kinyua Muthoni was killed on 7 February 2025 within Kenyatta National Hospital Neurology Patient Ward, Level 7B, Male Section, Group C, Cube 2. The incident was reported at Capitol Hill Police Station. The Homicide Investigation Bureau, alongside the forensic team from the DCI laboratory, were called in to process the crime scene. The deceased was found to have sustained a deep cut on the throat, and the beddings were heavily soaked with blood. The cube contained 2 beds, meaning the victim shared the space with another patient. Blood droplets were observed on the floor, trailing from the deceased bed towards the adjacent patient bed. The suspected blood traces collected from the floor, Crocs, kitchen knife, and fingernails were swabbed for forensic analysis and submitted to the government chemist in Nairobi on 7 February 2025. CCTV footage from Ward 7B was retrieved for further review. Statements were recorded from key witnesses, nurses on duty, security personnel, a cleaner, and one of the patients in the same ward. On 27 February 2025, analysis results confirmed that the DNA profile generated from the blood stains in both the knife and floor swabs matched the DNA profile of the deceased. However, the fingernail clippings did not yield any foreign DNA profile, and the swabs from the Crocs contained only lightly stained human blood. After the investigation, the file will be forwarded to the Office of DPP for review and further direction. Action being taken. The investigations are ongoing, and when finalized, any persons found culpable will be arraigned before court. Measures being put in place to intensify in healthcare facilities. Honorable Speaker, the following measures are being taken to enhance security in healthcare facilities. The health facilities are encouraged to formulate safety and security regulation for healthcare facilities. Installation of CCTV cameras and security scanners in healthcare facilities. Police have medical facilities, and DECI is fast-tracking the investigation in the killing of the late Gilbert Kinyua. Finally, the management staff and patient are urged to share critical information via Fichua Kwa DCI toll-free hotline 0800 722 203, guaranteeing confidentiality and safety of the reporter. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to respond.
Madam Rahab Mukami.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Honorable Speaker. I really appreciate the report. I can see so far so good. But Honorable Speaker, from the report you can see it's like they already know the cow pit, the person who killed that person. Because they are talking about the knife, about the crocs, and they could see even the movement. So I would urge Chair, kindly try and push the DCI and the investigators. They try and get hold of this person so that we can close that chapter. Otherwise, thank you so much for your report.
Chair, any other? Wait, maybe we take one or two more. Maybe there's some more interest. Mbui Robert, I see your name here. Do you want to weigh in on this? Anyway, I know, yes. Okay. Proceed now and...
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Mukami for raising this particular statement. I think when you read through what the police have provided, and also that scene, a crime that is like in the James Hadley chase, that a fellow can go and kill a patient in a hospital ward and walk away without being noticed or without somebody picking that individual up. For that reason, she has also raised some issues that are fundamental, and we are going to push the ministry to be able to urge both the DPP and the DCI to hasten the process. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Madam Mukami, do you have a follow-up question on this? Because I don't see interest.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm sure Chair is going to push them. Thank you so much.
Okay. Madam Mayaka. Mayaka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just had a concern. A hospital like KNH, doesn't it have surveillance system or cameras? Because I wonder and still struggle to believe that somebody can just walk in a hospital and kill a patient and still walk out without being noticed.
That's okay. Madam Omanyo, you have... Where is the chair of the... chair. I don't see any further interest in this except that. So just respond to that.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable colleague actually raises something fundamental, and that is what I said earlier on, that the top hospital in Kenya, because Kenyatta National Hospital is the top hospital in Kenya, that criminals can walk into a ward and kill a patient. Then one must ask, how safe are the other patients? Or how safe is a patient I'll take there? Could be your son, your wife, your brother, your mother. So for that reason, I think these are some of the fundamental issues that were addressed in actions that is expected for healthcare facilities, including things like CCTV, scanners, and also enhanced security in those facilities. So for that reason, I think we as a committee, we will pick up with the ministry from this point so that we can make visit to some of these facilities to find out firsthand for ourselves that actually the securities have been enhanced. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Fair enough. I presume this is a... Yes, Dr.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as I listen to the Chair, Administration and National Security, this issue of a patient being attacked in our hospital, Honorable Speaker. I think even as you look at the security element, don't overlook the issue of conspiracy, Honorable Speaker. Because I do believe there could be conspiracy between the workers in the hospital and some of these crooks who are attacking the patients. Otherwise, if you just focus purely on security, the security guards, you might miss that element and then you find people continue suffering. Because I do believe strongly, when I listened to that case of Kenyatta, it was very scary, very, very scary. So also focus on the issue of what we call an insider arrangement. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
My presumption is that when you talk about security, you're looking at the totality of all that. I mean, Chair, you have something to add to that?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Makali is an economist. He is not a security person. But from the security point of view, when you report a crime, you are actually the first suspect. And the police will start from you. And that is how security is enhanced or how issues are pursued. So for that reason, I think he raises a very important point.
Point of order.
I am also on a point of order.
Responding to a point of order, yes.
Honorable Speaker, she will be on a point of order on something else, not this one, because I'm an expert on this particular one. Honorable Speaker, what Honorable Makali said, that when we reviewed this particular case, even looking at the statement and also with the DCI, we are almost of the opinion that there's no way somebody will come from outside to kill a patient if there are no insiders who know where the patient is, they are on which bed, they are occupying that space with which other person. So for that reason, I think the DCI is covering the ground in terms of investigation on the nurses on that day, the cleaners, and everybody who was involved in that ward on that day. So I think that particular point is important and it has been noted. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Meli Odhiambo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me just correct the Honorable Chair that as a lawyer, I'm an expert in security by my legal training. So I am an expert on security, and security must follow the law. Mr. Speaker, that was not actually my point of order. I've just been listening to the responses, and I'm wondering why this matter. In a way, it's actually connected. Why this matter is before the Health Committee?
Because this thing has happened in a health facility.
Yeah, but that's a problem. This is a security issue. It's not about health. It's not about whether this person was being treated.
Yeah, but he's not the chair of health. He's the chair of national security.
Okay, thank you. I think because he was talking about the issue of health.
No.
If he's responding as security, that's okay.
Health comes in to the extent
that's okay. That's
the
okay.
corroboration. Yeah, corroboration. Yeah. Okay. I think we'll go to the next one. Lekuton, Honorable Lekuton.
Thank you.
Yes, the Honorable Chair for
Energy.
Honorable
Speaker, just to be on record, Honorable Speaker, is that before the Committee on Energy, we don't have any statements pending. All the statements have already been prosecuted and responded to, because earlier there was a notion that we were not responding. This actually was requested last week on Thursday, and today, Thursday, a week after, we have a response. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, just to give... Yes, from expert.
Excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, it is true. We really want to appreciate the work of the Cabinet Secretary on matters to do with parliamentary statements that are requested. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Lekuton, Member of Parliament from had requested a statement, and the following are the submissions as requested. Question number 1, a comprehensive report detailing the project implementation metric from inception, accomplishment, key milestones, and the number of turbines KenGen intends to install. Honorable Speaker, the project is located within Longolayani and North Hall wards. KenGen carried out a comprehensive technical feasibility between 2020 and 2023 through the AFD as an interested financier. The site section was guided by several critical factors, including resource availability, minimum environmental impact, proximity to existing infrastructure, and robust community engagement. Phase 1 of the project will consist of 45 megawatt turbines totaling to 200 megawatt and a construction of 52.5 kilometer transmission line to the substation in Sirima. Phase 2 will have an 800 megawatt installed capacity. Below is a breakdown of activities already undertaken. Honorable Speaker, it's quite a lengthy, and I hope Honorable Lekuton has a copy. It's a table of activities already undertaken up to completion of the feasibility study that started on February 2019, where application for Marsabit County Government to develop wind power followed thereabout after almost up to now, March 2025, where we have the environmental impact assessment report that is going. And lastly, that is as at March 2025. And lastly is a free prior and information consultation and consent. That has taken since 2019 to date, and the process has been going on. Secondly, the second question, as the total acreage of land KenGen intends to use for the project, including buffer zone. Honorable Speaker, the Marsabit Wind Farm project will require approximately 49,800 hectares to accommodate the installation of wind turbine generators, supporting infrastructure and internal road networks. This includes 365 square kilometers in Longolayani Ward and 56 square kilometers in North Hall Ward. The designated area accounts for the necessary buffer zone and transmission wayleaf. 3, what was the action taken by KenGen to address the concerns raised during public participation as precedents to the project implementation? It is important to appreciate that KenGen has carried out extensive engagement with the community and other stakeholders. In a joint workshop held on the 21st and 22nd March 2025 in Isiolo, which included representatives from the 5 indigenous communities, Council of Elders, professionals, women, youth, and persons living with disability, it was agreed that certain issues raised will be addressed through technical studies, while other issues would be resolved during environmental and social impact assessment report will be going. 4, a question as to assurance that the planned infrastructural developments stemming from the project, especially roads, will traverse Laisami's constituency. Honorable Speaker, the response to that is that the primary mandate of Kenya is power generation. However, the company will corroborate with the relevant government institutions to ensure that the project equipment is safely transported to the site. KenGen will continue to monitor the various efforts being made in the area on a road construction or modifications, and the final decisions will be taken at the project implementation stage based on the best route that will be more efficient, especially in considering wide load requiring a large clearance. Lastly, Honourable Speaker, the funding framework for the project. The response is, Honourable Speaker, the Marsabit Wind Farm project represents a total of investment is approximately 450 million euros, and transmission line by Development Finance Institution. At the present, KFW and AFD have been involved in the project since 2018 to 2024. KenGen will also be on leverage on government incentives or subsidies. The financing negotiations of the project have not yet begun. That is the response, Honourable Speaker. We have question number 6, modalities on how KenGen intends to implement the project prior to full acquisition of community land. And the response is that KenGen is waiting for the completion of the community land registration, as other preparatory studies such as ESIA, BADS and BATS survey, and FPIC continue. Therefore, the implementation of the project will only occur after the pending issues have been addressed. That is the response, Honourable Speaker, from the Honourable CS Opiyo Wandayi. Thank you.
Lekuton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while I thank my colleague, Chairman for Energy, for a good answer, I feel that he's left a lot of my questions unanswered. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to go one by one on the 6 questions that he just answered. Mr. Speaker, I find it very difficult to believe that 6 years down the road of feasibility study done.
Chairman, I hope you are taking note of all the questions that he intends to ask. Yes, proceed.
I find it hard to believe that 6 years down the road, after feasibility study is done, and even the road survey is done, Kenya is still not sure where the road will go through, Mr. Speaker. I feel and I smell a sinister move, Mr. Speaker, on this specific question. So it's not well answered. I need more clarification, Mr. Speaker, because any society that produces energy must be rewarded. And one of those rewards is infrastructure. And no society will develop without infrastructure activities going on in the soil. Mr. Speaker, sir, secondly, in one of his statements, I asked also, where will this headquarters be located of this KenGen project? Because we know for sure that almost 90-something% of the project is in Laisamis constituency. Again, they are vague on that answer. Mr. Speaker, feasibility studies have been done for almost now 4 years. Yet, the information given to the public participants, including the local men and women who cannot read and write, including the professionals, including the, name it, anyone who lives with that area, is piecemeal. They are not given in full answers. They are given information that they're introducing any chapter that they want, they bring it on, and the ones they don't like, they leave it out. So feasibility studies must be well documented and well presented. The fourth one, Mr. Speaker, is KenGen should conduct public participation in its entity as far as the community living there are concerned. Mr. Speaker, we have the El Molos there, we have the Trukanas, we have the Rendiles, we have the Samburus, we have many tribes that live there. But KenGen has chosen to call each individual group to Isiolo to talk to them. This is a collective effort. This is a community land. All those people should be brought together with the professionals of that Laisamis constituency together, because each information, separate information is given to each group separately. So the community cannot really comprehend the entire issue on how KenGen will operate in their land. Mr. Speaker, on issue of commitment on the land registration, Mr. Speaker, there is no signed document by KenGen to show the community that they will do no project will start until the land, community land registration is fully registered and fully understood by everyone. So, Mr. Speaker, that's another misstep that they have done, and we need that to be clarified. Mr. Speaker, They have not also answered on the number of turbines which will be located within the Lysamis constituency. By having the number of turbines, now that we know it's 200 megawatts being started, and we know each of those turbines will carry a number of megawatts, we need to know the number of megawatts that will be located within my constituency, or our constituency of those of Lysamis, so that we can know how much of our land is being used by KenGen to produce power. Mr. Speaker, I would like to indulge in you, please. This is a very serious issue that affects the people of northern Kenya, whose only chance sometimes is the resource of wind, especially in that part. They are not well engaged by KenGen. None of what they are giving is being taken into consideration. Mr. Speaker, I'm asking you and begging you that please let us have this committee on energy visit Loyangalani Mount Coral area to look at that specific site that KenGen is going to put that power plant. That way, this parliament will understand what we are talking about. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chair, I recollect that you had talked of 400 and something thousand hectares. Is that the farm or that is the plant itself? Because maybe the grid or something like that, and you probably have to differentiate that, because the farm is, my presumption is that the farm is very big, but then of course all the power collects into a central place.
Correct, Honourable Speaker. I didn't get your question whether it was 450 million euros.
No. The acreage. You did give acreage, yes.
Acreage, Honourable Speaker, is 49,800 hectares.
Now, proceed
that
and answer the issues that were
raised. Thank you. Honourable Speaker, I appreciate the very keen listening of the person who had requested for this response, that is Honourable Lekuton. Honourable Speaker, yes, I agree with him. 6 years down the line is quite a long time. Honourable Speaker, regarding where the roads will be passing, Honourable Speaker, in answer question number 4, the KenGen, through the Minister, has responded by saying that they will be collaborating with the relevant government institution to ensure the project equipment is safely transported.
Order.
Okay, I agree.
Order. I notice that the honourable questioner is on a point of order, and I have a feeling the issue is raising because there's something you touched on. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the chairman keeps on referring government agencies. Mr. Speaker, what happened to communities who live in that land? Can they be the first point of contact? Can they be the first people to be asked what needs to be done in their land, Mr. Speaker?
Chairman, continue, but the feeling I get is that you're saying a collective government agency's approach, but proceed. We're trying to get this as clear as possible. It's a very important issue that needs to be clarified fully.
Honourable Speaker, I totally agree, and these are the issues that I'll be raising again with the ministry for clarification.
Okay.
But of course, as our standing Honourable Speaker,
yes.
I'm very limited in terms of unless I go back and be able to. But I totally agree with all the issues, the 6 issues which have been raised by Honourable Lekuton as to the location of the headquarters. It is not mentioned, and that as to full disclosure of public participation, I totally agree. They gave names of Council of Elders, some people that they met, but again, Lekuton is talking about the Turkanas and the other communities that are living there who are not mentioned, and they were never involved in the public participation. In terms of the land registration, Honourable Speaker, on that, and the answer to Question number 6 is that they are saying Kengen is waiting for the completion of the community land registration. So that has not been done. Once it is done, that will be
And
brought.
who's supposed to do that?
Pardon?
Who's supposed to do that?
It is Kengen.
It is Kengen.
Yes.
Because Kengen is waiting for something that has to be done by Kengen.
Kengen is waiting for the completion of the land because it's a process. It is not the ministry.
Kengen is waiting for the completion of the land registration by Kengen.
Not by Kengen.
By who?
By, I think, the Ministry of Lands and the people and the county government of Marsabit, I think. I want to believe that that is the process. But again, I will be checking this. I will be taking all this.
Honorable Rasso, who also comes from the same region, is on a point of order. Let's hear you, Honorable Rasso.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, listening to the chairman, with benefit, giving him the benefit of doubt, I think these answers are coming from the ministry. There's the famous Lake Turkana wind power that generates 360 kilowatts. Megawatts to the national grid. You know, the reason why the communities went to court is Kengen is doing. Because there was total denial of participation of the community. And yet they had used almost land, almost 150,000 acres. Even in this particular one, the Honorable Joseph Lecton sitting here, he has never been involved in this. And he's a member of parliament. He represents those people. If the member himself is not involved, who are these others who are being consulted, being contacted by Kengen? So for that reason, I think the honorable colleague is right. Let them go back. Let them sit with the member. Let them sit with leadership of Marsabit, because eventually this is a natural resource. Although it will benefit the immediate host community, it will benefit the larger community of Marsabit. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairman, the chair clearly takes note of the limitations that you are placed in. Unfortunately, our current constitution and chairs now doing the work that used to be done in the previous constitution by ministers who were in the executive, or basically were both in the executive as well as the legislature. It puts you into a conveyor belt, basically being just a conveyor belt. But I think if we can get more what do you call answers sought by the members, then you could take down all those questions, or rather more questions raised by the members, and then we decide on another date, because clearly it doesn't seem to be up to the expectations and the standard of answers that this House is prepared for, in my opinion. Yes, Vanessa. Yes, Bissau, the Honorable Bissau.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I think the issue is across board. And when I look at the answers that are always given from the energy side, it's like quick fixes. You'll ask yourself a question like, we are blessed with half of the year with the sun, if not more. Why don't we think outside the box and ensure that we also utilize these natural resources and go solar? Secondly, we know power purchase agreement, PPAs. There's been a complete blockade on PPAs. If we sort of liberalize the market and allow more players with better technology in this republic, we'll have more suppliers competing with the existing ones and ensuring that we're also getting the power supply at lower rates. So what I expect also from the Energy Committee and the ministry is to think outside the box, be ahead of, let's appreciate the natural resources we have. And two, in support with Honorable Ekuton Marsabit, this is the host community. The host community must be part and parcel of originating the supply chain by involving the local leaders in the whole process. And that is how even the multinationals have succeeded, or they've failed. And their failure or success starts with respecting the host community. So in a nutshell, Chair Energy, let's think outside the box. Let's ensure that we have value for money, but at the same time also take advantage of the natural resources. We have sun. Let's get solar, more and more solar. We've got the sea. Let's get more and more wind and open up the market for more players. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Dr.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I do agree with you that most of the chairs are conveyor belt. So even as we blame them, we have also to bear with mind that they are not able to answer the question straight. But Honorable Speaker, I just want to confirm that the Chair Energy has been doing a good job. There's a question I raised, Honorable Speaker, almost for the last 1 year, and he got it sorted for the time he has been there in 2 weeks. So I want to congratulate him. But when I listened to that statement, Honorable Speaker, the cost of the project was also given in euros. And you know we are addressing Kenyans. I think even tell the PS, even they talk about euros, it's good to have in brackets how much it is in Kenya shillings, because Kenyans can relate to the Kenya shillings, not euros. That will help us.
That probably is because of the fact that our exchange rates keep on.
Yeah, but I'm sure they can always
keep on changing vis-a-vis the so-called convertible.
Honorable Speaker, can always indicate somewhere is at this date of exchange rate of this particular, because Kenyans can, when you say 450 million euros, even those who are in this house, now if I ask you a quick question, Honorable Speaker, how much it is, you still start doing calculations. I think just in the brackets an estimated Kenya shilling so that it helps Kenyans appreciate the cost. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Because these are liabilities, these are debts, and the debts are supposed to be paid usually. Contracts are in convertible currencies. They're either in euros or in dollars, in our case mainly. So it doesn't matter how much the exchange rate is. That is what at the end of the day is our liability as a country. Yes, you have something to raise also. Honorable, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also want to support Honorable Lekuton because I believe that when such mega projects are brought up in a particular area, the members of parliament or the leaders of that area and the community at large should be involved so that they can also bring their views on the issues pertaining their community. So I believe that my brother chair for energy, that there are enough and competent people in the Ministry of Energy. So the next time I think we need to have the CS for energy here and the PS for energy because they are competent people so that we are able to ask them such questions and we are able to even answer, they are even able to answer us better because I believe they have better answers than what our chair is having. As also my brother has just said, on issues to do with the power purchase agreements, I think we should open up the area so that we have competition. Because right now you have seized, there are no power purchase agreements going on in the country. I think we need to open up that space so that we have more players in that area and we'll get this energy at a cheaper rate. If there are people who are able to give us at a cheaper rate, it will be better for us. So I want to support Honorable Lekuton, and I also want to request that the Ministry of Energy should open up that space so that we open up for other players to be able to give out the power purchase agreements. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Ado, MP for Wajir South. Just move to the next one. On your right hand side.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, public participation.
Honorable Lekuton, give an opportunity to the chair to hear what the MPs are raising the concerns so that he can take them down. Proceed.
Honorable Speaker, thank you so much. Public participation to government decision making is very vital in any democracy, and Kenya is not an exception. And we have to be very wary of projects like this one being carried out in the name of energy and the provision of services to the people, because I remember very well in the late 80s, in 1988, there was a company called Kenya Oil Service that ended up in northeastern Kenya, and particularly Garissa and Wajir in that region, and also in Marsabit. And claims exist, some of them very verifiable claims, that they buried toxic waste in that area, something that is exacerbating the prevalence of cancer cases in that part of the country. In the middle of last year, I brought, and that was June, I brought a question to this House, and the Speaker ruled on that matter, and the Committee on Environment was tasked with investigating that matter. The then chairman, my honorable colleague, who is now the chairman of Energy, is in the House and can prove what I'm saying. Up until now, that matter has not been concluded.
Although it's not the substantive matter that we're dealing with, but the former chair, I think, can, because of the collective responsibility of all the chairs and the majority and the leadership of the House itself, maybe you could raise up that with the person who has taken over from you to be able to bring that at an appropriate moment, because you were there initially. But right now, the issue is on.
Thank you.
On Marsabit.
Thank you, Speaker.
Now, Meli, you intended to raise something on the same. I thought I saw you putting your hand up.
Thank you, Mr.
What was
Speaker.
it for? Something else or this?
No. I'm just waiting for the non-us with disability. But on the same note, Honorable
You don't raise your hand for a matter that has not an order, that has not been, it's not on the floor of the House. So wait until this order itself.
Thank you.
What we're doing right now is. Chair, my suggestion is that you take all these concerns. Indeed, there's a wisdom why we have a community land, which is anchored in our constitution to protect that community. What the questioner is saying is that the community has got the requisite expertise to negotiate on these things, to sit down. Because when you want to do a project, the first thing you do is you negotiate with the land. I mean, what that project is going to be located. You don't say much later when you're already into the process itself that we are in the process of waiting for that kind of an agreement, or rather the registration of the piece of land itself. Because it's a community land, I'm sure there's a way you can deal with the community for the community, which is the lawful and rightful owners, to then allow this project to take place in their own birthright in terms of their own assets. And then, of course, you proceed on from there. So my suggestion is that, I don't know if the questioner agrees with, you go back, we'll give you ample time, I don't know how many weeks you need, to be able to ask all these pertinent questions so that you don't get ambushed again with questions that you are not that well prepared. So is there anything else that you want to raise, Lekuton, because you have 6 questions here?
Honourable Speaker, I'm much obliged. I think I'll take your advice, and I think we have agreed with Honourable Lekuton.
Yes.
You know, sometimes the ministries do not understand some of these things. So as a committee, we have agreed. I will be requesting the Secretariat that we also make a visit as a committee to that place to understand exactly what they are saying, and even include listening to the people and what they are under public. Secondly, Honourable Speaker, I agree with my committee has the report on the moratorium on PPIs, the PPS. And there was a report that was brought before Parliament then, and then because of the time it lapsed. So we are reintroducing the report back to this House.
On the independent power producers?
Yes, for the Parliament to make a decision. The committee did come up with some critical, they raised a lot of critical issues on matters particularly to do with the cost per kilowatt hour of the independent power producers. Honorable Speaker, you cannot believe it. One area that we have an independent power producer charging 83 Kenya
Cents.
shillings. 83, not even
Cents per unit.
No, 83 Kenya shillings per kilowatt hour. While GDC is, is it, yes, what do you call this, geothermal, the KenGen, is giving us at 4 cents. So these are some of the issues that we wanted to look into, and also as to whether this agreement should come before Parliament, before they are sent to or signed by the ministry and the players, so that also Parliament can have a voice and say, we think this is too costly, maybe you can reduce it to this, and over and above so many issues that the committee raised, and we'll be tabling that report hopefully
I think for
once
the
we are back
benefit
from
of,
recess. Thank you.
for the
Honourable
benefit
Speaker.
of Bissau, the chair is also conscious of the fact that most of those just a moment, you'll mention those independent power producers. Many of them charge on capacity. I think you'll make that clear, because I'm sure you have even better information than I have, which means that you pay them for capacity, not for the power that they supply, not for supply. And that essentially is, in my opinion, one of the things that really has made this an extremely expensive thing. And I think when we had the retreat, as members of parliament in Naivasha, that matter came up. Why you can buy it for only 5 cents, or is it 5 shillings from Ethiopia? How much was it? Yeah, 0.5 cents, was it? Or was it 5 cents? 5 cents, 5 US cents, which translates almost into what, 5 shillings? Something like that per unit. And on the other hand, you're paying it for what, 80 something shillings. And to independent power producers. And I think this is an area that the House would want to really delve into it. And but okay, again, you can rise up and answer something that you wanted to raise. So under your watch, we think that you'll be able to do a very good job in this area.
Thank you. And you're right, Honourable Speaker. The independent power producers, they charge per capacity. Whether they supply power or not, we have to pay. And it's a conversation that Parliament will be having. And secondly, on matters to do with...
Is on a point of order. Honourable Mary is on a point of order.
I think, Honourable Speaker, you've really raised a very pertinent issue. There is what we call deemed power, deemed produced power. And I sat in the committee of PIC one time, and when we were investigating these independent power producers, one of the issues that the Honourable Chair is raising, and I think this House has to look into more critically, is the money the taxpayer is paying to an independent power producer or under PPP on an idle generator, an idle investment that is gathering dust, and we are paying through our noses on what we call the deemed power. And I saw this under the Lake Turkana. We saw this under the idle geothermal power stations, which goes all the way to raise power bills in our homes, in our industries, and in our sectors. And therefore, making the cost of living and even the cost of producing goods very expensive, and making Kenya very uncompetitive in this particular region as an investment destination. I think the Chair Energy has a lot to do, Honourable Speaker, so that if we really need to grow this economy, we start with energy, which is almost a basic need, and we must make sure that we make it affordable and accessible to all homes. I really want to support that particular discussion.
You have to understand, Chair, there's something called lifting the veil in law. Lifting the veil. Yes. I said way back when we were in Naivasha that you cannot locate camels that are stolen by the owner. These contracts were lopsided because very powerful people in the system had an interest. Very powerful interest. So unless you go back, lift the veil and go to the bottom of the road, then Kenyans will always get a road deal. Sorry, proceed. It's not traditional for the chair to mention some of these things, but you know, Chair is also a member of parliament for a constituency. Proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think you have a lot of information on these IPPs, and it goes without saying that I don't want to repeat. At one time, Honorable Speaker, we paid 10 billion just because somebody has finished his power station and you have not completed the transmission line. And we had to pay that, the deemed power that we are calling. And it's, but anyway, it's a conversation that. Secondly, on matters of what Honorable Makalimuli had indicated on matters to do with, and I agree with you, why we use euros or dollars. We have an issue for anybody wanting to source funding externally. You tell them of Kenya shillings, they will never listen to you. But I agree with Makalimuli, it is good to indicate as we talk about the 450 million euros, then we are at least for purposes of conversion, we put that in, and I think it's a good thing for us to do. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. So I will.
How long do you need? How long do you need to come up with a very comprehensive answer? And that I want to presume that will be after you have already had a session with the members of parliament from the affected areas and the ministry people and
yes,
all the stakeholders, all the ones who are.
Honorable Speaker, I'll be requesting because we are going on a long recess after next week, and that is for purposes of budget making process. I will be asking my brother is that if getting the timetable on when the committees are supposed to do their budget, and then we could be able to handle that in the recess, hopefully, if we'll be
so
having.
So we're assuming that when we come back from the recess, you would already have an answer for this House.
We'll have, exactly.
Fair enough, Honorable Lekutoni, you're happy with that?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I'm.
Okay, it's so directed.
Thank you.
Directed by the Chair. Next order.
Order number 17, motion, consideration of the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on suppression of terrorism, regulations 2024.
Chairperson, Committee on Delegated, yes, order, number 17, yeah? Yes, the Honorable Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm the one moving this motion. I beg to move that this House announce in entirety the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on suppression of terrorism, regulations of 2024, legal notice number 187 of 2024. For failure to comply with the Constitution, the Statutory Instruments Act.
Order, Honorable Deputy Minority Leader. The tradition is that, first of all, you read the motion verbatim. That I wish to move that this House adopts the report of the committee on, and then you proceed on that and finish that.
Mr. Speaker, I have actually read exactly as it is printed.
Oh, this was moved earlier?
Yes, it was already moved. I am now.
Okay, proceed.
Yeah, thank you. So I beg that this House announce in entirety that motion for failure to comply with the Constitution, the Statutory Instruments Act, Cap 2A, the Interpretation and General Provisions Act, Cap 2, and the Prevention of Terrorism Act, Cap 59B. Honorable Speaker, legal notice number 187 of 2024 was published in the Kenya Gazette on 20th November 2024 and laid on the table of the House on 16th January 2025.
Order. I did seek clarification from the clerks at the table, and I'm told this is supposed to be moved now. It has never been moved before. And the tradition of moving, you want to move it now, you move it by doing exactly what I told you. That, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated.
Mr. Speaker, I wish you could go back to the record. I have read, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House announce. That's exactly
not announce, no, you don't have it right. Adopts.
Or
the
adopts.
report.
Oh, sorry.
You're talking
oh,
about a piece of legislation without
yeah,
even
because
mentioning.
that is missing completely from this report.
You better
So,
get.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House agrees with
Adopts. Order.
Adopts.
Order. Do you have the order paper? Give him the order paper so that he can read this, verbatim. Please. Go to order number 17. You are a senior
Honorable
member
Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on the suppression of terrorism regulations 2024, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 17th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 18 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Cap 2A, announce in entirety the prevention of terrorism, implementation of United Nations Security Council resolutions on the suppression of terrorism, regulations published as legal notice number 187 of 2024.
Fair enough.
Mr. Speaker,
yes. Proceed now.
I beg to move that this House announce in entirety the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on suppression of terrorism regulations 2024, legal notice number 187 of 2024, for failure to comply with the Constitution, the Statutory Instruments Act Cap 2A, the Interpretation and General Provisions Act Cap 2, and the Prevention of Terrorism Act Cap 59. Honorable Speaker, legal notice number 187 of 2024 was published in the Kenya Gazette on 20th November 2024 and laid on the table of this House on the 16th January 2025. It was made pursuant to Section 50 of the Prevention of Terrorism Act 2012, Cap 59B. This therefore qualifies it as a statutory instrument within the meaning of Section 2A of the Statutory Instruments Act. The Committee on Delegated Legislation considered this statutory instrument in accordance with the Constitution, the Statutory Instruments Act Cap 2B, and the Prevention of Terrorism Act Cap 59, and the Interpretation and General Provisions Act Cap 2. The committee further held a consultative meeting with the Ministry of Interior and National Administration on 17th April 2025, as required under Section 16 of the Statutory Instruments Act, before arriving at its recommendation. Honorable Speaker, the objective of the regulation is to give effect to various obligations imposed by the United Nations Security Council resolutions on targeted financial sanctions in respect of terrorism financing and proliferation financing. This was necessitated by Kenya's current status under enhanced monitoring by the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, and the Eastern and Southern Africa Anti-Money Laundering Group, that is ESAAMLG, commonly referred to as the FATF Grey List. Honorable Speaker, while the Committee on Delegated Legislation appreciates the urgency and international obligations underlying the making of the regulation, our scrutiny revealed the following legal and procedural deficiencies. A, the legal notice was published on 20th November 2024, but was forwarded to the clerk of the National Assembly on 6th December 2024, which is outside the 7-day statutory timeline provided under Section 11(1) of the Statutory Instruments Act. Mr. Speaker, also the regulation imposes penalties that exceed those that are permitted under Section 24(5) of the Statutory Instruments Act, which caps all fines at a maximum of 1 million shillings and imprisonment at 6 months, unless expressly provided for in the parent act. For instance, Regulation 33 of the Prevention of Terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council regulations, suppression of terrorism, regulations 2024, legal notice number 187 of 2024, proposes a fine of up to 3 million shillings or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 7 years, without cross-referencing this with Section 30 of the Prevention of Terrorism Act. Mr. Speaker, again, there are several provisions including Regulation 16.2d, Regulation 22.1, and 37 of the Prevention of Terrorism Implementation of the United Nations Security Council Resolutions on Suppression of Terrorism Regulations 2024, Legal Notice number 187 of 2024, they delegate substantial legislative authority to non-legislative actors, contrary to Section 13M of the Statutory Instruments Act, which clearly states that any regulatory making authority cannot inappropriately delegate legislative powers. Mr. Speaker, Regulation 17.1 of these regulations is defective in its drafting, as it does not clearly articulate the kind of freezing mechanism that are to be adopted. This contravenes again Section 13H of the Statutory Instruments Act, which prohibits vague and ambiguous drafting. Mr. Speaker, again, despite the assertions in the explanatory memoranda, the regulation-making authority failed to furnish any proof of any actual public participation or stakeholder consultation. This, Mr. Speaker, offends Article 10 and also Article 118 of the Constitution, as read together with Section 5 of the Statutory Instruments Act. Honorable Speaker, having considered all the legal and procedural shortcomings and pursuant to the Constitution, the Prevention of Terrorism Act, Cap 59B, the Statutory Instruments Act, number 23 of 2013, and Standing Orders 210 4B, the committee recommends that this House announce in its entirety the Prevention of Terrorism implementation of United Nations Security Council resolutions on suppression of terrorism, Regulation 2024, Legal Notice number 187 of 2024, for non-compliance with the Constitution and all the relevant enabling laws. Honorable Speaker, the committee wishes to express its gratitude to the Office of the Speaker and the Office of the Clerk for the support that has been accorded to the committee in the discharge of its duties. And we also want to recognize the commitment and dedication of the members of the committee and the technical team that has been assigned to this committee. So on behalf of the members of the Committee on Delegated Legislation, and pursuant to Standing Order 210, it is now my honor and duty to table and move the adoption of the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the suppression of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on suppression of terrorism, Regulations 2024, Legal Notice number 187 of 2024. I beg to move, Mr. Speaker, and I now would like to call upon the Honorable Charles Onchoke, Member of Parliament, to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Charles Otoke, yeah, right next to you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I rise to second the motion for the adoption of the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on the consideration of the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions and suppression of terrorism, regulations 2024, Legal Notice number 187 of 2024. Honorable Speaker, the regulations that were considered by the Committee of Delegated Legislation are fatally defective in law, in substance, and in procedure. They offend the Constitution in a very material manner. Any laws that are unconstitutional, Mr. Speaker, should not pass, only regulations. Mr. Speaker, the committee, in arriving at this decision, considered the relevant laws and the Constitution. But in addition to that, it was guided by the established traditions and customs of processing statutory instruments. And indeed, the committee did invite the relevant committee, the relevant ministry, for a discussion and walking them through all these defects that were noted in these regulations. Honorable Speaker, it's noted that the regulation was brought to the National Assembly 9 days outside the timeline that is stipulated in the Statutory Instruments Act. In addition, Honorable Speaker, the regulations purport to delegate powers to the regulating authority that doesn't possess. Honorable Speaker, as you're aware, that to which is delegated, no further delegation can be permitted. Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, thank you, and I second the motion to annul these regulations.
Fair enough, honorable members. I now propose a question that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on the suppression of terrorism, regulations 2024, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, the 17th April, the year 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 18 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Cap 2A, annuls in entirety the prevention of terrorism, implementation of United Nations Security Council resolutions on suppression of terrorism, regulations published as legal notice number 187 of the year 2024. This is a clearly straightforward issue, so let's, Honorable.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me start by thanking the committee and the mover of the motion, Honorable Mbui, for the details provided in annulling this regulation, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I think it's important that we have a committee that comes out so keenly in terms of looking at what has been presented. But what is critical, I think I do support their position on 3 areas, and on the basis of that, I'll be supporting the motion. The first one, Honorable Speaker, is when they say the regulations are against the Constitution. They are not in line with the Constitution. And you know, Honorable Speaker, it's a very basic principle in lawmaking that anything which goes against the Constitution is null and void. So on the basis of that, I think the committee was on top of things by saying we are null. The second point, Honorable Speaker, this House is the only House with the powers to make laws. But in their own wisdom, they delegate part of that power to lower institutions like ministries. That means, if need be, the power can be taken away anytime. So I get very concerned when I hear somebody who is operating on delegated power can go ahead and delegate that power further. That is a procedure, Honorable Speaker. And on the basis of that, another very good reason to annul this regulation. The third one, Honorable Speaker, we know issues of which have been discussed in this regulation, Honorable Speaker, are issues which are very sensitive. Issues of terrorism. And Honorable Speaker, anytime you talk about terrorism in this country and in the world, people get very interested in what is captured in such a regulation. Because terrorism is not good, it has not been supported by anybody in the world. So anything which charges on this, we must make sure that it's done properly. And on the basis of that, Honorable Speaker, then we say that it's unfortunate that other than this regulation being done by the authority which had been delegated the powers, they want to delegate further those powers and diluting the importance of this regulation. So on the basis of that, Honorable Speaker, I really want to support the committee and urge honorable members of this House to agree with the committee so that we annul these regulations and pave way for improved passion of these regulations, which will also be done by the right authority which has been delegated these powers. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I've realized it's only regulations which get annulled which get to the floor of this House. Anything which is approved, Honorable Speaker, we never get to see it. But I think how I wish that there was a way, even those ones which have been approved by the committee, Honorable Speaker, either in a summary manner
that we could be educated on what regulations have been approved. That will keep us, in terms of information, up to speed, so that at times you don't comment on things which you are not even aware of because they were passed through the committee, but the whole House didn't get the chance to appreciate what has been approved. With those recommendations and comments, Honorable Speaker, I support the position of the committee to annul these regulations. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Honorable Mushira.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the report on the delegated committee on delegated legislation. Mr. Speaker, the mover of the motion has made the case of the committee. Mr. Speaker, this Parliament, the Constitution of Kenya vets the legislative authority to this Parliament, and therefore this Parliament is the sole body which is composed of a representative of the people. But the law provides that Parliament may delegate this responsibility to various agencies and bodies. But the law also provides that these bodies and agencies can only make regulations under the supervision of the Parliament. And therefore, it is within the powers of this House to nullify regulations that are made by agencies if this House finds that the agency did not follow the relevant procedures. And I listened carefully to the mover of this motion, and I picked two reasons for nullification, and one of them is lack of public participation or lack of proof that the agencies did public participation when they were making these laws. And as we know, Mr. Speaker, public participation is a constitutional requirement. There is no law, even in this House, that can pass if we've not done the public participation. And the other reasons for nullification that I've picked from the move of the motion is the violation of the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you. I see the Honorable Wundo. You want to speak to this?
Honorable Speaker, let me also join the committee in adopting the report of the committee to annul these specific regulations. Honorable Speaker, I sat in the committee, same committee in the last term, and if there was any aspect of the law-making process that is shamelessly, routinely, and brazenly abused by the executive, is a subsidiary legislation. Honorable Speaker, and that's where the most punitive provisions are contained. That's where the most punitive penalties are hidden, and that's where the excesses of the executive can be found. And again, Honorable Speaker, the way the Statutory Instrument Act is designed, it's such a way that you either have to accept the regulation in entirety or annul in entirety. And Honorable Speaker, many times, if they want to be notorious, the notoriety of it is that they skip pre-publication scrutiny. They bring to you when it's already complete, or at times, Honorable Speaker, you actually engage in publication scrutiny, and then they totally disregard the views of the committee members or the committee and proceed to publish the report, the regulations the way they are. At one time, Honorable Speaker, we were so furious, we sat with some regulations under AFA. We said they were bad regulations because they were actually the sugar regulations. They were hurting the farmers so badly. I can surprise you, they proceeded under the Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Munya, proceeded to publish the regulations. So when they came, we were told this from State House. We said, it's okay, let State House pass the regulations, and implement them, but we'll annul them. And we did annul them. So, Honorable Speaker, I feel good that the committee still has the spine and the temerity to stand up on the executive and annul unconstitutional provisions, statutory instruments. Honorable Speaker, there is a growing trend that we must stem in the bud early enough. Many of these things that are being pushed through our throat, down our throat, are from foreign institutions, are from foreign bodies. They're not homegrown. The definition of terrorism in this country is not domesticated. It's actually plucked from somewhere and brought to us here. So some of the issues that purport to include in these regulations, or some of the laws, Honorable Speaker, they are outrightly unconstitutional and violate the gains of the Constitution, the Bills of Rights. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to urge the committee and those who are behest on pushing executive agenda, please be careful and ensure you do not do it to please the external bodies and end up hurting our people. Honorable Speaker, there are some activities that we can undertake in this country. It's not terrorism. When a Maasai moves around with his rungu, a group to celebrate a ritual, that's not terrorism. But to a white man, when he sees such a huge group of people moving together, he imagines they are going to commit a terrorism act. When you find the Bukusus, when they are escorting their boys after circumcision, singing very tough songs, any person who could understand would be scared and jumping up and down agile. Then they would think something is wrong. We must stand up to our value. We must domesticate and solve our problems domestically. Some of the terrorism acts that have happened here obviously has been negligence on the security sector and obviously has been pure criminal. We should not adopt foreign ideas to punish or kill our common activity. Honorable Speaker, an Iran is not a criminal. Why would you consider him a terrorist? He's not a criminal. It's a sport. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Omanyo, you want to speak to this?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support because some of these rules discriminate a lot. Some tribes, some clans, some specific people. Let me be open enough and say, if I had a hijab and I wanted to travel abroad, some countries really scrutinize. They look at the names, they look at the country that particular person is coming from, they conclude things that are not there. To the level that some of our people even joke, if a Muslim is alighting a bus or a matatu, you hear a tout saying, angusha, simamisha, kuna bomu moja inashuka. So you are like, what exactly a Muslim is alighting, which is not good. So some of those rules that we are talking about make people start stereotyping some people, which is not good. I can choose to dress the way I want, and I can choose to travel where I want. If the whole world says it's a global village, let us treat each other okay, and also appreciate or respect other people's culture, and do something or punish people who might be either with a religion or no religion, cult or no cult, Christians or Muslims. If they do anything wrong, then they can be punished, but not stereotyping a particular religion to be the ones who are terrorists. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All members, there being no further interest on this matter, the motion is declared as spent. Next order. The decision on this motion will be made the next time it's in the order paper.
Order number 18, motion, consideration of the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on prevention, suppression, and disruption of proliferation financing amendment regulations 2024.
Honorable Mboy, you're dealing with this?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to move that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the prevention of terrorism, implementation of United Nations Security Council resolutions on prevention, suppression, and disruption of proliferation financing, Amendment Regulations 2024, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 17th April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 18 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Cap 2A, announce in entirety the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on the prevention, suppression, and disruption of proliferation financing, Amendment Regulations, published as legal notice number 188 of 2024. Mr. Speaker, these regulations are very similar to the ones that we have just addressed in the previous motion. And ideally, the problems that we face with the two regulations are very similar. Because, Mr. Speaker, what happens is that every law, almost every law that is passed on the floor of the House, Mr. Speaker, allows the implementer of the law, in which case most times it is government departments, government ministries, some authority to also make regulations, guidelines, so that they can be able to fully implement the law, because the law cannot be 100% detailed. Now, unfortunately, in the process of making these regulations, the regulatory making authorities many times overpass the mandate or go beyond the mandate that is allowed to them. Mr. Speaker, the Committee of Delegated Legislation is guided by the contents of the Statutory Instruments Act. And whenever any regulation is presented to the committee, then we must check with the Constitution, the Statutory Instrument Act, the parent act upon which the regulations are made, so that we look and see whether there is conformity. So, Mr. Speaker, on these regulations, the problems that we faced with the previous ones were also very evident. First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, was the issue of time. Now, the Statutory Instruments Act indicates under Section 11, Section 11.1, that laying of statutory instruments before Parliament. It states that every cabinet secretary responsible for regulatory making authority shall, within 7 sitting days after the publication of the statutory instrument, ensure that a copy of the statutory instrument is transmitted to the responsible clerk for tabling before the relevant House of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, unfortunately, these regulations were tabled late, beyond the 7 days period that is allowed under the Statutory Instruments Act. Therefore, already that it's already offended the Statutory Instruments Act, and on the basis of that, Mr. Speaker, the committee has absolutely no other recourse, because the only thing the committee can do is either allow the regulations to proceed or follow the law and annul them, because there is no other alternative. So on the basis of the timing, that is why the committee is proposing annulment. Mr. Speaker, our Constitution, Article 10 and Article 118, is very clear that there has to be public participation on all matters that are of importance to the people. Section 5 of the Statutory Instruments Act also talks about participation of the people. So, Mr. Speaker, there was absolutely no evidence of any public participation or any consultation between the ministry and anyone on the matters that are contained in these regulations. So again, we felt that it offended the Statutory Instruments Act and offended the Constitution, and therefore, we had no alternative but to propose for annulment. Mr. Speaker, the Statutory Instrument Act is very clear about the amount that can be penalized within the confines of the Statutory Instruments Act. And the maximum allowed penalties is only 1 million. Mr. Speaker, these regulations are imposing a fine of 3 million. That is way beyond what the statutory instruments can allow. The only way that the regulatory making authority can be able to penalize 3 million is if they make reference to any other law. And that must also be clearly indicated in the instrument that they present to the committee. So these regulations did not indicate where the 3 million came from, and therefore it is offensive to the Statutory Instruments Act, which is very clear about the amount that can be penalized. Mr. Speaker, Section 13 of the Statutory Instruments Act talks about those things that must be considered when the committee is dealing, relevant considerations when the committee is dealing with any statutory instrument. Now, 13H talks about that any regulation that is defective in its drafting or for any reason the form or purpose of the statutory instrument calls for any elucidation, then if it is unclear, then it cannot be passed. So we noticed that there were areas there were gray areas, and unfortunately, the statutory instrument is supposed to give clarity. So if they create a gray area, then again it offends Section 13, Part H. On the same relevant consideration, Section 13M, it says that no regulation shall be presented that inappropriately delegates legislative powers. Now, many are the times when the regulatory making authorities have been given powers to make the regulations, but they go beyond the Parent Act, they go beyond the Constitution and create their own law. Now, it's only Parliament that is able to make law. So that is why, Mr. Speaker, we feel that these regulations overstepped the mandate that had been given to the regulatory making authority. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, as a result of that, we want to request the House, Honorable Speaker, we beg the House to agree with the committee and help annul, so that we can give the ministry an opportunity to go back to the drawing board and as quickly as they possibly can make the corrections to these errors and then present proper regulations so that they can be passed. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request that the Honorable Charles Onchoke, Member of Parliament, to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion to adopt the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on the consideration of the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council, regulations on prevention, suppression and disruption of proliferation financing, amendment, regulations of 2024, legal notice 188 of the year 2024. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I second.
Thank you, honorable members. I now propose the motion, which is that this House adopt the report of the Committee on Delegated Legislation on its consideration of the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on prevention, suppression, and disruption of proliferation financing, amendment regulations 2024, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 17th of April 2025, and pursuant to the provisions of Section 18 of the Statutory Instruments Act, Cap 2A, annuls in entirety the prevention of terrorism, implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolutions on prevention, suppression, and disruption of proliferation financing, amendment regulations published as legal notice number 188 of 2024.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very briefly, just to agree with the committee, but Honorable Speaker, the committee has made a very interesting observation, which I think is something as a House we need to be very careful with. When I listen to the mover, Honorable Mboi, make his remarks, he says, Honorable Speaker, there are cases where the bodies who are making regulations are actually making law instead of focusing on the existing law. Honorable Speaker, procedurally regulations are supposed to operate, to make operational the acts of Parliament, so that they make this is the operational stage of any law. Now, that being the case, in a situation where this House has passed a law, and then the authority making the regulations adds things outside the act of Parliament, I think that should be illegal, Honorable Speaker. And on the basis of that, I think that's what the committee is telling us, that when they look at these regulations, there are some elements of the regulations which are not supported or which do not originate from the main act. And I think that is something you cannot support as a House. So on the basis of that, Honorable Speaker, even without mentioning it being unconstitutional and the other elements, I think this House has reason to annul these regulations and now give the ministry or whoever is concerned another chance to do proper regulations which are aligned to the existing Act of Parliament. I support, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Wonder on this matter.
Honorable Speaker, just before we go, not really on this matter.
Then let's have the Honorable Meli.
Okay.
Wants to contribute on this matter.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this, the annulment of these regulations. And I want to agree with the mover, Honorable Mbui, that the state has to ensure that we follow the Constitution. That that these regulations actually flouted the laws of the land. They also flouted the Statutory Instruments Act, and a lot that we need to adhere to as a House. Honorable Speaker, the powers of this House is to ensure that we legislate, but as we delegate these powers to respective government institutions, they ought and they are supposed to make sure that they follow the law, especially in trying to draft and come up with regulations. Honorable Speaker, I've seen in several instances where government agencies and government institutions have come up with regulations that are completely inimical or not in line with the laws of that particular sector. A number of them have been seen, especially, even in, I can give examples, even in the education subsector. Honorable Speaker, when you look at this terrorism bill, the rights and the privileges of the citizens are actually trammed up. And in some instances, where the country now takes up foreign laws, foreign rules and regulations, which in effect cannot be implemented in this country. So, Honorable Speaker, what the delegate legislation has done is quite commendable, and I support the annulment in entirety. And on that note, Honorable Speaker, it is important that all government agencies, before gazettement and before putting into making sure that all these laws, all these regulations are being followed, and make sure that they do not contravene the Constitution. I support.
Thank you, Honourable members. There are being no further interest on this matter, we will defer the putting of the question on the same to the next time the matter is scheduled in the order paper. Next order.
Order number 19, the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2023, second reading.
Honourable Meli.
Honorable Speaker, the Learners with Disabilities Bill, I beg to move that the Learners with Disability Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2023, which was referred to the committee following its first reading in the National Assembly on 7th November 2023, was submitted from the Senate on 26th of October 2023. Honorable Speaker, this bill is very important, and I want to bring to the attention of the House that this is a bill that is going to look into several clauses, almost 46 clauses, that are actually dealing with the learners with disabilities, and more importantly, institutions that affect learners with disabilities. And Honorable Speaker, all these bills seeks to establish a comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the education of learners with disabilities. It regulates the conduct of institutions serving the learners. I'm talking about the learning institutions. And in fact, it also looks at the community and promotes inclusive education consistent with our constitutional values and Kenya's international obligations. So, Honorable Speaker, the bill actually seeks to really promote learners with disabilities, try to assist the teaching service, especially those individuals with disabilities, and also tries to make sure that learners with disabilities across the country are actually assisted. Honorable Speaker, while we were looking at this bill, because it was a referral bill, the committee placed a public advertisement on the public under Article 1 and Article 11.8, 1B of the Constitution. And Honorable Speaker, only one formal memorandum was received. And this particular memorandum was from the National Disabilities Forum. When we received that particular memorandum, Honorable Speaker, we went on as a committee to invite and engage key stakeholders in this particular bill, because we realized that up to 1.7 million Kenyans have various forms of disabilities. And it was not good that we are going to carry out this particular bill with only one particular grouping. So we did invite the following stakeholders: United Disabled Persons of Kenya, the Side Relief, the Kiambu Disability Network, the Kenya National Deaf Association, the Women Challenge to Challenge, Student with Special Needs Association, among others. Honorable Speaker, the need to invite all these is actually based on the importance of public participation in the law-making process, which is a constitutional requirement, and it is actually a threshold that we have to meet before bringing this particular matter before the House. So the committee held several meetings, and therefore we went through the bill clause by clause as required. Honorable Speaker, just to give a background information that in this country, over 1.7 million Kenyans live with disabilities. And I'm talking of disabilities of various kinds: hearing impairment, mental impairment, and all those other disabilities. And in this particular case, we are normally saying these are individuals who are differently endowed. Honorable Speaker, of this, 39% access primary school education. And it is important, Honorable Speaker, that it would be very good that when we are moving this bill, members be appraised that all these cuts across the Republic, in all sectors, in many families, in many communities, in many institutions, we have people living with disabilities. 39% access primary education, and just 9% attend secondary school, despite the progressive initiatives like free primary education in 2003. Over 1 million children, many with disabilities, remain out of school. This is something that we need to know as a House, that as much as as we speak now, about 10 million people are in formal education. Of these, very few are actually in primary education, about 39% of the 1.7 million. About 9% attend secondary school. And this particular bill is supposed to promote learners with disabilities so that homes, individuals who have these children, and institutions who have these children are able to bring them to school, access education, either schools that are, or institutions that are only for disabled persons, or integrated schools. And we need to promote this by even encouraging the teachers and motivating them to even earn more by trying to assist these particular young people. Over the years, the government has undertook a number of reforms that include, for example, the Ngala Mwendwa, the Kajadi, the Koej or the Kamunge report. We have the Munavu report, and even the most recent, the Presidential Working Party on Education and Reform. So, Honorable Speaker, through all this, the government have been trying to make sure that learners with disabilities are assisted through proper legal procedures. It is on this that a number of institutions were established. The Kenya Sign Language, the Kenya Institute of Special Education, and a lot, for example, the Kenya Institute of the Blind. All these were established to actually assist learners with disabilities, assist individuals who are differently endowed in terms of sight, in terms of hearing impairment, in terms of mental, and even come up now with institutions such as the Thika School of the Deaf, and all other special institutions across this country. Honorable Speaker, to just run through the bill, I just want to say that the bill gives, in clauses 1 to 4, gives the objects, the definition, and the guiding principles. And in that particular aspect, Mr. Speaker, it goes on to define the various aspects of disabilities. And in this, it is very important for this House that even as we look at them, there are certain proposals, the proposed amendments that we proposed to even entrench and even ingrain and even make it better in terms of understanding what kind of disabilities we are talking about. In clauses 5 to 8, it gives the rights and responsibilities for learners, parents, and governments. In several instances, many parents, many government institutions have at one time, just because of the kind of language, the kind of wording they use, at times goes to an extent of discouraging learners with disabilities. This is something that no parent, and I want to make it very clear, Honorable Speaker, make the choice of their children. It is just by birth. So a number of them tend to think that they get stigmatized. And it's upon this particular bill that we need to come out and encourage majority of our parents, encourage these institutions, and at times, those students which are fairly, I want to use that word, Honorable Speaker, that the disability is not so much to their disadvantage, like, for example, the physical and even maybe any of those, they need to be integrated and be looked at like almost like the other children. On clauses 4 to 9 to 19, it gives the registration, admission, and management of institutions. That's why I say the bill looks also into the institutions. How do you admit these children? How do you register a learner's disability institution? And more importantly, how do you actually manage some of these institutions? All through, the committee actually went and looked at all those particular issues, and we proposed a number of amendments to this to strengthen those particular issues that were raised. Honorable Speaker, the committee made a number of observations and stakeholder input. For example, the committee supported the inclusion of teacher aides and learner definition of inclusive education, clearer definition of inclusive education. Honorable Speaker, in most of the schools that we have today, we can have what we call learners which have seriously disabled issues, for example, mental issues, movement. We cannot only rely on one teacher. We need to have specialized teachers who are teacher aid, who have a medical understanding of the situation of the child. So that if we are able to have these particular teachers, or what we call teacher aid, they are actually handling the same class. We have the mainstream teacher teaching the lesson, but there is this almost a caregiver or an aid to the teacher in giving support services. In most of the institutions, you'll realize that this particular teacher aid is giving the learner even more, is going to encourage the learner even more to like the schooling, to be in that particular place, and therefore you'll be of assistance to him. We've also realized that we need to strengthen, we need to recommend the deletion of clause 30, which contravene Article 50 of fair hearing. At times we have actually talked about the fair hearing. At times a student who have hearing impairment, who have some challenges, at times he's actually given marks that are of the same level with the normal child. And this one I'm talking about the issues of visual, the issue of hearing, all those. That is why I'm talking about fair hearing to that particular individual. On the other note, Honorable Speaker, we have increased penalties under clauses that, or imprisonment for up to 3 years, or both, for individuals who might take advantage of disabled people. An individual who takes advantage of a disabled child or actually molests or actually mistreats is actually, we are seeing as the Committee of Education to have actually done a more disservice to this individual than even on a more normal child. We have also required clarified staff qualification, especially for non-support teaching support personnel on clause 28. Honorable Speaker, after thorough deliberation and public consultation, the committee recommended that the House approves the Learners with Disability Bill with amendments as detailed in schedule of amendments appended to the committee's report. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, the bill affirms our national and international obligations to uphold the dignity and the rights of persons with disability, especially children and youth. It gives legislative weight to the constitutional principles of inclusivity, equality, and non-discrimination in education. The committee remains committed to supporting a just, accessible, and inclusive education system for all learners in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, I move and I request Honorable Member for Kimilili to second.
Honorable Bissau.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. On the onset, I stand up to second and support this Senate bill on the Learners with Disability 2023. Mr. Speaker, disability is not inability. These children, given a chance, they can excel even more than the ordinary children. So if you look at this bill, it actually also devolves the management of learners with disability from the county governments, having county education boards, and also having county education resource centers, which will really help these children. If you also look at the bill, it talks about the minister, or rather the CS, education, ensuring equality, such that also special schools are actually equipped properly with all the rights also for these children being there. So, Mr. Speaker, from the financing and the policy regulation, institutional management, and the rights and responsibilities of all the institutions, I think this bill is very, very crucial. And quite critical also is the parents. The bill talks about the parents to ensure that they avail their children in these institutions. Something that has happened in many homes whereby children with disability are seen as second-class children, and somehow even they are put back. I mean, they are not really being given that priority in terms of taking them to school. We've also seen some of the institutions, to give an example, Kilimani School for the Integrated, which they've also tried to integrate the blind. You'll find that in this school, even the teachers looking after the disabled children are not paid on time because their budget is not part of the priority, with very few even basic equipment like the braille not being put in place. So, Mr. Speaker, I second and support this bill because it's very, very good news for the 43rd tribe of this country, which very few people talk to support them. I support. Thank you.
You're not supporting, you're seconding, so.
Oh, I second. Thank you.
Oh, members, I now do propose the question, which is that the Learners with Disabilities Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2023, be read a second time. Honorable Dorothy Ikiara.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I stand in this House today a happy person, and I want on the onset to say I strongly support this very crucial bill, the Learners Bill, the Disability Bill 4 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, Many a times we talk about disability, but we don't know to what extent this particular word impacts on the people who live with disability. Honorable Speaker, when we talk of disability, we first of all must realize that we have very many forms of disabilities. People living with hearing impaired, people who are virtually impaired, people who are physically challenged, persons who have autism, and persons who have even multiple disabilities. And Honorable Speaker, when we come to the field of learning, it is very imperative that we must look at these very categories individually. And this one, Honorable Speaker, I want to say, it will not start by us debating. We must go a step further and ensure that this is managed at the policy level. And Honorable Speaker, how I wish, as I commend the Committee of Education, that they go a step further. And in their recommendation, I don't know if this bill, how far, but we can make amendments, that we have a special unit, like we have the TVET special unit that takes care of TVET colleges. We have a special unit that will have a PS who will exclusively look or be in charge of special institutions. 1.7 million people is not a small number that can be assumed, Honorable Speaker. And if we can manage this at the policy level, we can be able to manage disability. Honorable Speaker, in this country, I want to say we have schools, yes, and we have teachers who take care of various forms of institutions. If it is the school for the blind, we have teachers who are specially trained and taught how to handle those children who are visually challenged, impaired. We also have schools where we have the deaf and dumb. They take care of students and pupils who are in that category. We have also schools where we have teachers who take care of the physically challenged. Autism the same. But Honorable Speaker, we have not been able to look critically and ask ourselves, do we have sufficient institutions to take care of these children? Are we giving this particular group of citizens a fair share of what a government should be able to give to its citizens? Have we been able to equip our schools in the right way, in such a way that these special groups of categories of persons are able to access all the accessories that are needed for them to be comfortable in these schools? Because, Honorable Speaker, we have found out that in some areas, like where the blind need brailles, where the deaf need special gadgets to assist them in their hearing as hearing aids, where the physically handicapped need special wheeled chairs to be able to take them from point A to point B. All these things sometimes are not available because they are too expensive. And Honorable Speaker, we have made proposals in the floor of this House occasionally that can we have these items, at least let them be duty-free so that they can be accessible, or even the government to avail them for free. Because, Honorable Speaker, it is rather unfortunate that a majority of the people who have children with disability are the low-income parents who are not even able to subsidize to make their lives comfortable. Honorable Speaker, I want to say, even when we come to the teacher ratio, teachers who take care of these specialized children are never enough We have KISA, which trains teachers, various categories of teachers, to take care of children with various disabilities, but we still find that in these institutions, the ratio is not enough. So, Honorable Speaker, children are taken in most of these institutions, but they don't get the specialized care that is required for them to be able to advance their lives to the level that we can comfortably say they can compete even globally with the other children. Honorable Speaker, I want to say in the developed world, we know too well that children who are categorized with any form of disability, they are taken care of, all their bills are managed by their governments. Health care is equally very expensive for this category of children, other than education. And Honorable Speaker, it is the responsibility of the government to take care of these special needs children. However, Honorable Chair, I don't want to discredit the Kenya government, because I know too well the government of Kenya and His Excellency the President of this Republic, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, they have the cash money transfer that is given to this category of children so that at least it can help improve their quality of life. Honorable Speaker, I want to buy the idea of chair education, who has said clearly that, yes, we need these children integrated in the normal institutions. And Honorable Speaker, this is the only way even that they can be more accepted in the society. But I want to say we have other children who have very severe disabilities that they cannot be integrated. The government must look at ways and means in which the severely disabled children can also be given a fair share of their life to socialize. They may not be going to school to learn so much, because some are beyond conceptualizing anything. But they have to be given an opportunity to socialize and know that there is life beyond the confinement of their parents' house. Because, Honorable Speaker, what happens to parents who have severely disabled children? They cannot carry them on their back to take them to any institution. They cannot be able even to expose them anywhere, because there is no other person other than the parent who is taking care of them. So they need an institution, Honorable Speaker, where they can even be taught how to pray for themselves. Honorable Speaker, I want to say, and I want to say, it is the responsibility of the government to give every human being a chance to live a life to the maximum, whether they are able to know where they are. But that noise alone can make them even wake up and know there is world. So, Honorable Speaker, I strongly want to support this bill and say it is a very crucial bill, and if there is anything that is happening in the Education Committee, and if there is anything that will take them to heaven, is to think about this special category of persons. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
Said. The member for Machakos. Machakos County for this matter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to air out my views on this bill. The Learners with Disability Bill, Senate Bill number 2023. I want to applaud the minds that came up with this great bill. Indeed, I've heard the Chair of Education articulate it, and I believe this is long overdue. If there's anything And if there's one thing I have passion for, are the children living with disability. I've had an opportunity to travel to various schools in my county, and I can testify to majority of them are living, those children that are schooling, the PWD students are living, are learning in very, very disappointing environments. In fact, I remember just the last month, there was the head teacher of Wamunyu Special School who was calling for assistance because the toilet that the children use had sunk in, and they did not know what to do because there's no funding. The parents cannot afford to put up another toilet. And when she called for a meeting with the parents, they were literally crying, asking, where do they take those children? And I feel with this kind of framework to ensure that the institutions have a clear policy on how to run the schools, and if the schools will be nicely funded, I think this will go a long way. Let me say there's another one I also visited in Masinga, where the primary school PWD students were sharing the same hall as boarders, and there was just a petition that was there to make sure that the young boys do not cross over to the young girls. But you could see them trying to put up some holes so that they could peep on the other side where the young girls were sleeping. What does this say? These schools have been neglected for a long time. And let me say, in some parts of the country, there are so many of them that funding is not enough, and the capitation that is forwarded to those schools are never enough. So I want to support this bill and say that I wish the whole House would stand strong, and also when it comes to implementation, let us see it come to being. The parents are suffering. They are parents from vulnerable families and disadvantaged families, and they cannot even afford to take their children to these boarding facilities. And with that few remarks, I wish to support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Jororok.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the Learners with Disabilities Bill. Mr. Speaker, the special needs education is an area that we've really overlooked as a country, and it is time that we really put emphasis on these institutions. This bill, Mr. Speaker, as you know, the right to education is a constitutional right, and nobody can deny any learner right to education on the basis of disability. Mr. Speaker, this bill removes the barriers that normally exist in terms of access to education to the learners with disabilities. And it also ensures that learners recommends and ensures that learners with disabilities access support services in terms of making the learning of the learners with disabilities smooth. The bill also ensures that the infrastructure that exists in our learning institution is friendly to the learners. But Mr. Speaker, as we pass this law, we also need to ensure that when it comes to budgeting, special needs education faces a lot of acute shortage in terms of the funding. And this house being having a role in making budget, and as we are coming to making of the 2025-2026 budget, we need to be intentional in terms of funding special needs education in 2 or 3 ways. And one, Mr. Speaker, ensuring that the TSC is well funded to ensure that we have teachers who are trained in the special needs. Mr. Speaker, in most of our areas, and especially constituencies, we have schools and classrooms for special needs, which are closed for the lack of special needs teacher. You follow up with the TSC and you are told that they don't have enough budget to employ enough special needs teacher. So, Mr. Speaker, this is an area that, as a house, we need to look at and ensure that we have enough budget, probably invest purposely for the special employment of special needs teacher, and ensuring that beside employment, we also have skills development for those specific teachers. And also, Mr. Speaker, in terms of budgeting, you also need to ensure that we allocate enough funds for infrastructure, especially in public school, infrastructure for the special needs schools wing and the special needs institutions, and to ensure that learners have enough assistive devices. Because you find, Mr. Speaker, yes, in some schools where we have the learners and we have the schools, you find that they lack assistive devices. So, Mr. Speaker, as I support this law, I urge that when it comes to budgeting, let's be intentional, let's allocate enough money to ensure that the special needs education is supported in this country. I support.
Thank you. Member for Teso South, you want to speak on this matter? Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this very important bill. Honorable Speaker, children with disabilities are our children. They are our brothers. They are our sisters. And therefore, it is their right to have access to education, which will eventually give them access to opportunities. But the stark reality is that these institutions are faced by a number of challenges. And therefore, this bill comes in timely, and it is very important. Honorable Speaker, I have visited special schools in my own constituency. You find that the teachers are so committed, the parents are committed. There are teachers who get into their own pockets and use their own money even to provide food for these children in the special schools, because these special schools have been ignored for a very long time. You go to a school, children are sleeping on the floor, they have no food to eat, no assistive materials for training, and therefore, this bill speaks to inclusive education, where learners with disabilities can learn alongside their peers with appropriate support, where we will be able to provide these basic required facilities within these institutions. Honorable Speaker, even in our budgeting, both national and county government, I want to support my colleague who has said we must be very deliberate. We have to be very deliberate in our budgeting to ensure that we have provided, taking cognizance of the specific needs and disparities within certain areas, especially the marginalized areas. In fact, we should even have an affirmative action for marginalized areas so that we're able to accommodate these children with special needs. Honorable Speaker, capacity building is also very critical. And this bill provides that these institutions that are taking care of these special needs children and the staffing therein must be capacitated enough for them to be able to take care of these children. Honorable Speaker, special schools, even to the honorable members, I think we must be deliberate also when it comes even to bursaries to ensure that we have provided for these special schools. Because some of the parents, and even the parents, and I am very happy that this bill is speaking to all this, because if you go to certain areas, you find there are parents who are still locking children with special needs in the houses and not taking them to schools. And again, I want to refer to my constituency. I'm very happy with the teachers that are in these schools because they get out of the school compound and visit homes to look for these children and get them and take them to school so that they can also get access to education. So there is need for us to support these institutions so that even the teachers will make their work a little easier and a little comfortable as they commit themselves to support and provide for these children with disabilities. Honorable Speaker, I support this bill. Thank you.
Honorable Oundo. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to start by appreciating the Senate for originating this bill. If my memory serves me well, this bill was in this House, and it actually lapsed because of, I think, the end of our term. And then somebody, an honorable member from the Senate, picked it. And I also want to thank my Committee on Education for agreeing to co-sponsor the bill. And I think this is the way we should be doing things, Honorable Speaker, where whichever house originates a bill, we could get an honorable member from that house to co-sponsor, and then we get these laws into place. Honorable Speaker, I want to share some very practical experiences on these learners with disabilities. And this is because in my own constituency, Kitui Central, Honorable Speaker, I have 3 institutions serving learners with disability. I have an institution serving those who are mentally handicapped. I have an institution serving those who are deaf. And I have an institution serving the visually impaired. And I have a chance to interact with them, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to say this. Just these students with disabilities, everything relating to them is also special. And the fact that everything is special, it makes this education so expensive to everybody involved, starting with the parents. So, Honorable Speaker, if you look at the situation, and that's why I want to appreciate this bill, because it is discussing the legal framework and the institutional framework so that we provide the right learning environment to learners with a disability. For example, Honorable Speaker, the ones who are visually impaired, you know they use the braille. I remember at one point I did a petition to this House, to the Committee of Education. There are about 24 teachers in this country who are able to assist development of the material they use. For your information, Honorable Speaker, those teachers are not employed by TSC. They live on handouts from the parents of the institutions. In the whole Republic, there are about 24. And TSC cannot even take them up and put them in their payroll so that they motivate them. So you see, they are playing such a key role in the education of these learners with disability, but they are not being paid. So it becomes very expensive, Honorable Speaker. And how I wish that as a House, we could be able to look at, identify such teachers and make sure that they are employed even before we employ the other teachers. The second point, Honorable Speaker, the 3 institutions in my constituency, if you look at the government funding in terms of infrastructure, that is through the Ministry of Education, it is minimal. Actually, it is through CDF, NGCDF, that we have helped them get some facilities. We have renovated classrooms, we have renovated their workshops, we have renovated their dormitories, and I want to appreciate one of our government organization from Germany, which has done a massive structure for the ones with the visually who are impaired. So if you go there, Honorable Speaker, you ask yourself, what is the role of our government in this important special education? And that's what I want to say. I tend to agree with my colleagues who are saying, I think as a house, now that this bill is with us here, we must work very hard that the bill is passed by this house. And after we pass the bill, Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether at the third reading we could also come up with, other than the institutional and the legal framework, whether we could be very specific in terms of the financial framework in funding these special learners, so that the bill will be very strict in terms of how does the government fund this special education. Because in that case, then our kids will be able to get the right education. The other bit, Honorable Speaker, which is important, is the parents. Honorable Speaker, you know, we all know education is what? Is free in this country. And what has happened is because we have lumped special schools with the normal primary schools, we say education at primary level is free. So in terms of bursaries, you find these particular institutions, we don't consider them in terms of bursaries because they're still offering basic education in terms of primary school. But Honorable Speaker, if you look at the statistics which have been provided by the mover has told this house that out of the learners who are in the basic education, that is primary and secondary level, it is only 9% which transits to secondary education. The cause of that, Honorable Speaker, is basically because of the expenses involved. Honorable Speaker, so many parents have come to my office looking for support because they have been asked to pay by the principals of such schools for the upkeep of their students. And as I said earlier, since everything required of these students is special, then it becomes very expensive. And so most of the parents are not able to afford. And I agree with the Honorable Emase when she says, I don't know whether it's Emase or the other Honorable member, when they say that when you do research, Honorable Speaker, you realize that majority of the homes where these kids come from are actually homes which are mostly poor homes. So very few would be coming from well-to-do families. On that note, Honorable Speaker, you realize that education of this language special with a disability is so expensive that most parents cannot afford. To make things worse, you and me, who are patrons of the NGCDF, are not able to support them through bursaries because of our own act. So in that case, the parents are left on their own. So even as we debate this important bill, Honorable Speaker, I think it is important we also get to whether we can get an exception, whether we can get some way of saying that even though primary education is free and basic education is free, whether we can come up with a way of ensuring that, Honorable Speaker, we have some special fund to assist the parents with these kids so that their kids are able to go to school. Otherwise, we'll be excluding them from the normal life which is expected of a child. The thing which has not worked, Honorable Speaker, is the policy of integration. The government came up with a policy where they're saying all these pupils should be integrated into the main education system. But you know we are saying there are special cases. So even when they join our normal gadgets, so that they're able to go to the level gadgets, so that they're able to go to the level they would want to go in terms of their education. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for the opportunity, appreciate our Education Committee, thank you for the opportunity, appreciate our Education Committee, and appreciate Senate for this important bill, and urge honorable members that we fast track this bill